Great Tribal Chief. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. Really emboldened. In the history of mankind, the importance of food is unquestionable. It is even no exaggeration to say that food is the foundation of human society. Without food, what dynasty hegemony, what flourishing dynasty, what living and working in peace, what social well-being are all bubbles. There are many old sayings in China that accurately point out the importance of food, such as "you have food in your hands, but don't panic in your heart." Instability without agriculture, chaos without food, pearl is treasure, rice is king, storing grain is like depositing gold. Don't worry about having grain, soldiers and horses are not moving, grain and grass go first. 81.8 1z.co. Of course, the phrase "food is the heaven for the people" is the simplest and most rude words to directly say what food is. Shi Xiong remembers that in previous lives, many people argued about a proposition, that is, what is the purpose of life? There are many answers to this proposition, and there are countless, but Shi Xiong's most recognized answer from these many answers is people live to eat. This answer does not have any literary and artistic style, nor does it have any loftiness, and it may be disapproved or even looked down upon by many people, but as long as you think about it, this answer is actually the most correct one. Don't people live for a bite? Whether you are a president or a beggar, whether you are a billionaire or an ordinary migrant worker, whether you are a Nobel laureate with top IQ or a mentally retarded or foolish person, whether you are a primitive man who is rumored to drink blood or an astronaut on the moon, as long as you are alive, as long as you have a breath, then you have to eat. Of course, if you cross the catastrophe and become an immortal, you can buy goat, but as long as you are a human, you have never heard of not eating. A person, from the time of the mother's belly, began to continuously absorb nutrients from the mother through the placenta. That is a way of eating. Then he landed on the ground and started to take milk again, which is also a kind of food. In childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and even when the elderly cannot walk, they have to open a mouth with few teeth to eat. Who can live without eating? Those who don't eat are starving to death. Therefore, people live their entire lives for the sake of one bite. When you were young, you studied hard to find a job when you grew up, but no matter what job it was, even if it was a beg, he had to eat as long as he wanted to live. The difference between is only the good and bad food. The rich can cherish the delicacies of the mountains and the sea every day, and the beggar can only be leftovers every day. But whether it's the delicacies of the mountains and the seafood or the leftovers, it's all food. People, as long as they are alive, they have to eat. Is like the beggars at the bottom of the society, they don't even need their self-esteem for one bite. Dignity is a joke in front of one bite. And those big people who stand at the top of society can't really not eat fireworks like gods. They also have to eat 3 meals a day. Don't eat, try it. First release https://https:/. Therefore, the importance of food as a source of food is self-evident. In the previous life of the stone bear, humans have all landed on the moon, and have entered the era of spaceflight, but food is still the most important foundation of every country, not one of them. Human beings can have no electricity, no oil, no high-rise buildings, no air conditioning, TV and mobile phones, but they can never be without food. Similarly, in this era, food is also the most important material, not one of them. Even these Indian tribes in the New World, who are close to primitive society, know the importance of food. Before the stone bear came to the Gaoshu tribe, the Gaoshu tribe never had enough food every year, especially when the blue and yellow were not picked up in March and April each year. The hungry eyes of the tribes were green. Although the tribesmen can obtain food for their stomachs through hunting, picking and other actions, it still makes the tribes hungry. Food is still the top priority for the Gaoshu tribe. After Shi Xiong came to the Gaoshu tribe, He vigorously developed agriculture and developed the artifacts such as quayu and plow and columbine for reclaiming and planting. He also taught the tribe how to tame bison, replace manpower with animal power, and increase the efficiency of land reclamation and planting. Huge improvements. In addition, he kept getting a lot of food seeds from European colonists, and this has resulted in this large area of lively crops covering thousands of acres. These crops are mainly winter wheat planted last year and potatoes planted in spring, supplemented by some other spring-planted crops, and all the wasteland that can be opened up is planted. Under the guidance of the Stone Bear, the canal that led out from the Little River provided sufficient water for these farmlands. In addition, the crops in the fields were growing well in the first half of the year when the weather was smooth and rainy. Especially the winter wheat that has been eared. It makes people happy to see it. In another month, these gratifying winter wheat can be harvested, and the wheat produced at that time will fill all the granaries of the Gaoshu tribe. With sufficient food, the Gaoshu tribe can take back all the small tribes that were previously separated from the Gaoshu tribe, just like the Dakingshan tribe. As long as there is a sufficient population, there will be enough fighters. These fighters are equipped with Ferguson rifles and various metal weapons. The increase in their combat effectiveness is naturally not a star and a half. With sufficient military support, it is feasible to conquer the surrounding tribes and even the entire New World. www.wuxiaspa.com. To achieve all this, the foundation lies in the crops growing in this large farmland in front of you. This large piece of farmland on both sides of the Little River has thousands of acres of land. Outside this reclaimed farmland, there are at least tens of thousands of acres of land waiting to be reclaimed and planted. If it weren't for the various seeds kept by the tribe last year, Shi Xiong really wanted to open up all these lands to plant crops in one go. Just as the winter wheat seeds kept in the tribe last year were only 2,000 caddies, and because the winter wheat was planted last year, the season had already passed the cold dew, so the seeds planted per acre were close to 20 caddies, which was more than the amount used for sowing in October. The number of seeds almost doubled. There is no way, who made Shi Xiong come to this world a little late. But even so, more than 100 acres of seeds have been sown for these 2,000 kilograms. Even if only 300 caddies of wheat per acre can be harvested in the summer, this 100 acres of wheat is enough to harvest more than 30,000 caddies of wheat, excluding the remaining seeds. The remaining wheat is ground into flour enough for the people to eat for a long time. Is more potatoes, even if the output of this thing is not as high as the of later generations, as long as 1 acre of land can produce 1,000 caddies, the potatoes produced from 700 acres of land will be enough for 3,000 people to eat for more than half a year. Not to mention that after the wheat is harvested, there are crops such as corn, rice, and soybeans that can be sown, and potatoes can be planted again, and sweet potatoes can be harvested in a few months. Anyway, when it comes to the Green Valley Festival, there will be too much food from the Gaoshu tribe. These grains are Shi Xiong's true confidence. Chapter 227, Water Wheel. Busy people will always express emotion at a certain moment. This time passes so fast. Ishikama is like that. More than half a month has passed again. On this day, the weather was fine. The sun was high, and the temperature rose rapidly to a point that could be called hot. But even if the weather is very hot, the area on the east bank of the Little River to the west of the tribe is very lively. Almost all the movable people in the tribe have come. Many little guys don't even let go of the cows and rush directly, after the tamed bison came to the river, let the old cows find grass to eat by themselves. A group of little guys got together and chirping together, happily like a group of little chickens. Some elders with wrinkles on their faces and whitening beards and hairs also brought them here. Their faces are also full of smiles, and they are also looking forward to them. They are obviously in a good mood and don't want them. The more numerous adults are adult men and women who have nothing to do with them. 3 of them gathered together in groups of 5, pointing to the 2 big guys on the river bank who were about to stand up and discussing with each other. At this time, 2 tall and sturdy shelves have been erected on the shore. These 2 shelves are constructed entirely of thick logs, and the height is 14 or 5 meters. There are a large number of sturdy men above and below the two wooden frames. These men hold a rope with the thickness of their wrists in their hands, and the other end of the rope is tied to a water body. Today is the day to erect the water wheel. This is a big day for the tribesmen. When Lao Mu's family built the two water wheels, all the tribesmen in the tribe had seen this huge wheel-like object. After the Guardian's popular science, the tribe knew that Lao Mu's family took more than 20. These two big guys built by a man in 2 months' time will become the source of power for the tribe in the future. In the future, many laborious and time-consuming tasks in the tribe will be completed by these two big guys. The people of the tribe are very curious how this kind of big wheels made of wood can replace people in work. The tamed bison can help the tribesmen. This is well known to the tribesmen. After all, the tamed bison are also living beings, and after being tamed, they are very obedient. It is not surprising that they can help the tribesmen. But these two big wheels are made of wood. They are lifeless and will not be tamed. How can they help the tribesmen with their work? And Master Guardian also said that these two big wheels can support dozens of veterans in their work. This is simply incredible. So, when the two water wheels were erected today, almost all the people in the tribe were dispatched. They also wanted to see how these two big guys replaced people or old cows. On the main beam above the two tall wooden frames, there are several large rotatable wheels hung. The ropes in the hands of the guys below are passed through these large wheels and then tied to the two water wheels. Under the command of the horn, the men in the tribe began to vigorously pull the rope in their hands. The rope passed through the rotating wheels and began to slowly pull up one of the huge water wheels. The pulley has not appeared in Europe for a short time. With the addition of the stone bear, a traverser, it became natural to use the pulley to pull the water wheel. Although the water wheel looks very big, the actual weight is not that big. After all, it is made of wood. Furthermore, if the weight of the water wheel itself is too large, the current cannot make the water wheel turn smoothly. Therefore, when building these two small water wheels, Shi Xiong specifically urged Lao Mu and his family to pay attention to this aspect. With the efforts of more than 20 men, this water wheel with a diameter of almost 10 meters was erected safely. Then, under the command of these men, they each held some other ropes, and the two thick ropes tied to the main shaft of the water wheel were the ones that used the most people. Under the combined force of these guys, the water wheel that had just been erected was successfully lifted off the ground. Several guys pulled the auxiliary rope to control the vertical posture of the water wheel, and then slowly lifted it off the ground. The water wheel moved to the two thick wooden frames standing on the shore. After the main shaft of this water wheel was successfully placed on the support bearing of the water wheel frame, all the people cheered loudly. This big guy over 10 meters tall is really a big guy for these Indians, not to mention that this big guy was created by his own tribe, and now this big guy is erected like this, in the river water. This is simply a thing that broke their imagination. The two grandsons of fast horses, Hard Bones and Old Wood climbed up the water wheel support neatly, and then began to use tools to fasten the water wheel main shaft and the support-bearing bushes. After this work is done, the erection of this water wheel is even finished. After all the people on the water wheel got off, Shi Xiong began to command the man standing below to let go of the rope in his hand. Little River's current is relatively turbulent, which can exert enough force on this water wheel. In addition, the cylindrical roller bearing is used as the rotating support between the main shaft and the bracket of this water wheel, so only a small amount of force is needed to turn this water wheel. However, they fastened the water wheel on it just now, so naturally they couldn't let the water wheel turn. At this time, the water wheel has been completely tightened, so naturally the big guy can start to rotate. Under everyone's gaze, the fast-moving river water began to exert enough power on the horizontal plates fixed on the outer circle of the water wheel. www.wuxiaspad.com and the horizontal plates were driven by the water flow to start the water wheel slowly turn up. Although the rotation speed at the beginning was very slow, the sight of such a big guy being able to rotate by itself without any manpower still amazed many people. Some tribesmen even knelt on the ground and began to pray. In their eyes, this kind of sight can already be called a miraculous. There is no water bucket installed on the two water wheels, but a slender wooden barrel is installed on the outside of each horizontal plate. The placement of the barrel is not horizontal, but at an angle of about 30 degrees. In this way, when the barrel leaves the water, it will be filled with about 2/3 of the water. However, because the mouth of the barrel is slanted upwards, the water in the barrel does not flow out. However, when the first wooden bucket filled with water rotates to the highest point and continues to rotate downward, the wooden bucket that was originally slanted upwards will become the mouth of the bucket and wash down, so that the water inside will flow out and finally fall. Entering a prearranged channel, the water flows quickly and diagonally downward along the channel. In fact, by this time, the erection of the water wheel had been completed, and the erection of this water wheel was extremely successful. At the very least, the first function of this water wheel, drawing water, has been fully realized. Of course, we will test whether this water wheel can successfully drive other loads. After all, the main shaft of the water wheel faces the shore, but it carries a fixed gear. P.S. Bowen, thank you for the reward of I gave my hand to the first kiss. Chapter 228, Baby. Although the original function of the water wheel is to draw water, that is, to raise the water from a lower place to a higher place, suitable for taking water from the river to the outside of the riverbank, but with the continuous development of the water wheel, people gradually realized that the water wheel used to draw water is actually a great waste. The force of the water flow is very strong, and once the water wheel is turned under the push of the water current, the force generated is also great. Especially on the main shaft of the water wheel, because of the moment arm and torque, the force generated by the main shaft of the water wheel is extremely large. Even if the thrust of each horizontal plate of the water feeder is only 5 kilograms of force, then a later calculation formula can be used to roughly calculate the torque of the main shaft of the water wheel. Calculated according to the conversion of 1 kilogram force equal to 9.8 Newton meters. The spoke length of the water wheel is 5 meters, which means that a horizontal plate can bring a torque of 245 Newton meters to the main shaft. And the maximum torque of a 2.0 displacement car engine is only about 200 Newton meters. Not to mention that there are a total of 16 horizontal boards on this water wheel. People in ancient times did not naturally calculate such things as force arms and torque. But this does not prevent people from being able to clearly realize that the main shaft of the water wheel can actually do a lot of things after it is turned. So, whether it is China or Europe, in ancient times, water wheels were used to do more things. Just like in Europe in this period, it is very common to use water wheels or water wheels as power. Before Watt successfully improved the steam engine, hydraulic drive was a very important source of power for European countries. The two water wheels made by the Gaoshu tribe are experimental, so the diameter of the water wheel is only about 10 meters, and this one can be regarded as a small water wheel among the water wheels. But even for a small water wheel, it is more than enough to drive other workpieces to perform some work through the rotating main shaft. A gear with a diameter of about half a meter is fixed at the end of the main shaft of this water wheel, and this large gear is also cast. Thanks to the formulas for the gear modulus provided by Shi Xiong, this gear is made very well. When the main shaft rotates, it will rotate with this gear. If the rotation speed of the water wheel is 3 revolutions per minute, then the rotation speed of the large gear is also this speed. 3 laps per minute, which is a relatively fast speed for a water wheel, but very slow for mechanical power. However, this gear as the driving wheel has a large diameter and a large number of teeth, so once a pinion gear meshes with it, the speed of the pinion gear will increase by n times. Can be calculated by applying a very simple calculation formula from later generations. For example, the large gear as the driving wheel has 72 teeth, and the rotation speed is 3 revolutions per minute. When the driven wheel with 6 teeth meshes with the driving wheel, the driven wheel can reach a speed of 72 divided by 6 times 6 in 1 minute. The speed of 36 revolutions per minute is definitely very slow for a machine, but it is enough for the current Gaoshu tribe. If the water wheel wants to drive a big mill to rotate, the speed of 36 revolutions per minute is too fast. Of course, if you want to get a higher speed, then you need to carry out a two-stage shift. For example, if the tribe needs a device with 5 revolutions per second, you can install a shaft in the passive wheel, and install a gear with a larger number of teeth on the other end of the coaxial. This gear will act as a secondary driving wheel, and then drive another passive wheel with fewer teeth. As long as the ratio of the number of teeth is calculated, then this water wheel spindle with 3 revolutions per minute can drive a workpiece with 5 revolutions per second, which is 300 revolutions per minute. Even if the number of revolutions is higher, as long as it is not a heavy-duty workpiece, it can still be driven. Therefore, in order to be able to drive more different workpieces to rotate, Jack designed several gears with different numbers of teeth. These gears are used as passive wheels, and different gears are used to drive them according to the speed requirements of different equipment. In Shi Xiong's plan, the main purpose of the 2 water wheels is to experiment. Once the test is successful, the function of the 2 water wheels is to draw water and drive stone grinding. After all, this is the base camp of the Gaoshu tribe, and some industrial matters will not be done here. The Gaoshu tribe is mainly for living and producing food, so the 2 water wheels are mainly for drawing water and serving the daily life of the tribe's tribe. Once these 2 water wheels succeed, then a larger diameter and larger number of water wheels will be erected on the side of the Dikingshan tribe. As the industrial base of the Gaoshu tribe, the Dikingshan tribe is the place where the most hydraulic power is used. But this matter can't be rushed. First, get the 2 water wheels to work, and the 2 water wheels can run for a long time, before they can set up more and larger water wheels on the Dikingshan tribe. And if you don't consider other reasons, in terms of pure power, hydraulic power is actually better than steam engine. Once the hydraulic power can be developed vigorously, then with this abundant power guaranteed, the work in other plans can be slowly unfolded. For example, water looms and mule looms. Jack is there, coupled with Shi Xiong's golden fingers. It is not a problem to come up with these 2 things. And once Major Jack agrees to establish a textile factory in Europe to promote these 2 machines at the same time, then in the next few years, I'm reading www.youcanchew.com. Stone Bear can get some much needed things from the European continent far and away. As the later generations will say, the development of industry is driven by the driving force first. The successful erection of this water wheel provides the strongest guarantee for the future industrial development of the Gaoshu tribe. The second water wheel was erected the next day, and the effect is no different from the first water wheel. 2 big guys stood by the river, which became a big site of Gaoshu tribe. No matter morning or evening, as long as they are free, the tribesmen will come here to admire these 2 water wheels that are always spinning tirelessly. After erecting the 2 water wheels, Laomimu and his family led their 2 sons and other tribesmen to the Dikingshan tribe. Now that the 2 water wheels have been successfully erected, their next job is to make them larger water wheel. Lao Mu's 2 grandsons led other tribesmen to build new wooden houses next to the 2 water wheels. These 2 large wooden houses will be the place where hydraulic millstones will be stored in the future. At present, in addition to drawing water, the biggest function of the 2 water wheels is to drive the 4 big mills, specifically to grind something for the tribesmen in the tribe. Of course, these 2 water wheels are also supervised by special personnel, such as adding refined grease to the bearings for lubrication, such as monitoring the operation of the water wheel. Anyway, after these 2 big water wheels are hypothesized, they have become the treasures of all the people of the Gaoshu tribe. Chapter 229, Pride. The history of mankind is actually a history of power development. In the primitive age of Rumau drinking blood, the only power that humans can use is themselves. Like traffic basically relies on walking, communication basically relies on roaring. It is the state of human use of power at the first level in the Terra. Later, humans discovered that some animals could be tamed. The Chinese tamed cattle for farming, the Arabs tamed horses for riding, and the Inuit tamed dogs for sledding. This is the second stage of human use of power, animal power. Animal power occupies an irreplaceable role in human history, even in modern society. Animal power is still used for farming or riding in many developing or backward countries. However, water power and wind power are gradually being used by humans in this process. Before the steam engine became popular, water power and wind power were the most advanced energy sources that mankind could use. Hydraulic power can help humans do more repetitive and arduous tasks, while wind power can push ships across oceans and seas. In other words, in this era, water power and wind power are the most advanced power of mankind. It only took tens of thousands of years to develop from manpower to water power and wind power. Before the stone bear came to the Gaoshu tribe, the Gaoshu tribe was in the most primitive stage of using manpower. At this time, the Gaoshu tribe could be used as a war horse except for the 20 war horses traded from Wasiku. Apart from riding, all other tasks have to rely on manpower. But after the stone bear came to the Gaoshu tribe, he tamed the bison, and then the Gaoshu tribe gained animal power. Now 2 large water wheels have been erected, and the water power has been used again. In other words, after stone bear came to the Gaoshu tribe, with the benefits of the traverser's golden fingers, the Gaoshu tribe crossed tens of thousands of years in a short period of more than 7 months. Quickly promoted to hydraulic. At this time, Europe and the New World are about to face a revolutionary era that can be described as earth-shattering changes. This revolutionary era will be called the First Industrial Revolution in later generations. The root cause of the vigorous development of the First Industrial Revolution was that Mr. Watt improved the steam engine, which allowed mankind to enter the era of industrial civilization from the farming era. The reason why Europe has been able to stand on top of the pyramid of human society in the future, while the ancient China, which has been famous for thousands of years, has fallen for nearly 200 years, in fact, it has a great relationship with the use of power. If the Braid dynasty, which is closed at this time, can open its mind to welcome new technologies from the West, then with China's thousands of years of heritage, it will definitely surpass Europe in a very short time. But it is a pity that this decadent pigtail dynasty is nothing short of elm bumps. Coupled with the fact that the future old woman is in power, the huge huaxia was completely torn down. Now looking at the 2 stone bears that are spinning tirelessly, a thought suddenly came to mind. If Lazy mixes into the Braid dynasty of this era, even if he becomes a flat-headed common man, it is estimated that it will help China continue to stand at the top of the nations of the world. That guy Hong Lai is in position at this time, it's a big deal to get rid of him. Immediately, Shi Xiong was amused by his own nonsensical thought that suddenly appeared. It is bizarre enough that he accidentally crossed to the New World and became an aboriginal. He also wanted to dream of crossing again. It was really daydreaming. Shaking his head, the stone bear gently pulled the reins. The tall horses under the hips rang their noses, turned their heads obediently, and started to trot slowly along the path. And besides, there was another horse. The war horse with a large amount of luggage also jogged along. The water wheel is still successfully erected. A large number of Ferguson rifles are being produced, and the production of lead shots for their rifle has been completely completed. The papermaking is in the stage of soaking the raw materials. The cement and glass have also been successfully fired. As some women continue to make wine, Lambtel is bringing more women to work in the fields. Because of the emergence of hydraulic stone mills, the Uncle Grey Moose who is responsible for salt production has also saved a lot. With the thorough integration of the Dikingshan tribe, the population of the Gaoshu tribe has exceeded 400 people, and the additional more than 100 people really make everyone in the Gaoshu tribe feel the benefits of the increase in population. And the newly joined Dikingshan tribe's clansmen are quickly transforming into a qualified Gaoshu tribe clansman. They are also very satisfied with the current life, and each of them is very high-spirited. It can be said that the Gaoshu tribe has completely entered a stage of rapid development at this time. Everything has begun to become better, and a better future is in the near future. And all this made Shi Xiong feel quite proud. Although the Gaoshu tribe is a bit small, everything is orderly and rapidly developing according to its own plan. Although everything is difficult at the beginning, it can be said that a good start has been made. As the initiator of all this, Shi Xiong is certainly qualified to be proud. Seems to feel the joy of the owner on his back, and this tall war horse runs extremely briskly. One person and two horses ran upstream along the little river for more than 10 miles. www.wuxiaspot.com. Then they crossed the turbulent river on a wooden bridge erected in a narrow part of the river. Then Shi Xiong continued westward along the faintly visible path. There are no major things in the tribe for the time being, so Shi Xiong is busy and wants to go to Xiao tribe to see Baiyun. It has been nearly 2 months since the last parting. During this period, Shi Xiong was busy making paper, burning glass, testing guns, burning cement, and always instructing the old wooden family to build the 2 water wheels, so he didn't have time to meet his lover. Now everything is on the right track. Shi Xiong can no longer bear the lovesickness for nearly 2 months, so he embarked on the journey westward. One person and 2 horses can be regarded as a model of a familiar road, so the stone bear ran more than 100 miles in only half a day, until a river larger than the little river appeared in front of him. Shi Xiong's progress stopped. This river is also a tributary of the Tennessee River. In later generations, this river is called the Little Tennessee River. In later generations, a total of 5 dams were built on this river that originated in the depths of the Great Smoky Mountains. Humans used the power of reinforced concrete to completely restrain this manic river. But now, there are no dams on this river, and some are just rolling river water. If you want to cross this river, you also need to go upstream, and then there is also a wooden bridge in the narrow position of the river in the depths of the Great Smoky Mountains. This wooden bridge was built by a small tribe who has lived here for more than 200 years. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Apollo. The name of this small tribe is Apollo, which means tribe of netfish in Cherokee. Obviously, this small tribe has a long history, and it can definitely be traced back to the time when the Cherokee lived near the Great Lake. The fact is also true. This small tribe with a population of only 80 people used to be a small tribe separated from a large tribe living next to the Great Lake. The Cherokee belonged to the Iroquois League, but more than 300 years ago. I don't know why it angered the very powerful Iroquois in the Delaware at that time. In the end, the Cherokees were killed by 2. The powerful tribes joined forces and drove out of the Great Lakes area. Under the guidance of the high priest of Cabru, the Cherokee began to move south and came to Monongahela in the depths of the Appalachian Mountains more than 300 years ago. Following in the footsteps of the tribes, there are many Cherokee tribes that have moved south from the Great Lakes area, and the Apollo tribe is one of the larger tribes. However, when I lived in the Great Lakes region, the terrain and large lakes with abundant resources were enough to support many large tribes, but after moving south to the mountains, the large tribes of the Cherokee tribe were much less. Because the terrain and output here are not suitable for large tribes with a large population, therefore, the large tribes of the Cherokee have begun to disperse, and the Apollo tribe is one of them. From the name of the Apollo tribe, it can be seen that this tribe used to mainly fish for a living. When living near the Big Lake, the vast lake was large enough for the Apollo tribe to enjoy fishing, but it moved south to Mozambique. After Nongahira, apart from mountains, there are mountains, not to mention large lakes, and even rivers are rare. So the Apollo tribe immediately dispersed into more than a dozen small tribes, each looking for a suitable place for their lives in the depths of the Appalachian Mountains. However, these scattered tribes are called Apollo tribes, and no one wants to throw away this tribal name that has been passed down for thousands of years. The Apollo tribe located in the upper reaches of the Little Tennessee River is a small tribe that separated from the larger Apollo tribe that year. The flow of the Little Tennessee River is abundant enough, so although the conditions here are somewhat difficult, it is enough to feed this small tribe of over 80 people. However, the Apollo tribe is close to the boundary between the Cherokee and the Chickasha, and life here is still dangerous. Of course, the tribe is deep in the Great Smoky Mountains, with the Little Tennessee River to the west of the tribe as a barrier, and the people of the Apalut tribe are brave and good at fighting, and they are not afraid of the small group of Chicashas. Anyway, after the Apalut tribe moved to this place, although they also experienced a sneak attack by the Chicasas, none of the Chicasas were able to take this small tribe. Stone Bear learned about the Apalut tribe from the Mokaru tribe in the west, and found this small tribe. The Mokaru tribe is a small tribe separated from the High Tree tribe. Mokaru means a place where bears are infested in Cherokee, because the Mokaru tribe is also in the depths of the Great Smoky Mountains. Black bears and brown bears are often seen around the tribe, and that tribe is also a tribe rich in bear skins. At first, Shi Xiong planned to find the most convenient way to the tribe from the land, so he asked the tribes around Gaoshu tribe one by one, and then one by one found a way to the tribe. Fortunately, the Mokaru tribe is a tribe separated from the Gaoshu tribe, and it is considered a family with the Stone Bear, but the Apalut tribe and the tribes west of the Apalut tribe were all discovered by Stone Bear himself. Because they belong to the Cherokee tribe, and the Apalut tribe also respects the Gaoshu tribe where the Kabulu sacrifices are located. The Stone Bears were warmly welcomed by the tribes when they first came to this tribe. For these small tribes, the Kabulu sacrifice is legendary. In the eyes of these small tribes, the High Tree tribe where the high priest Kabul belongs is not inferior to Monongahela's tribal royal court. The Stone Bear is tall and sturdy, and he is also the guardian of the Kabulu high priest. When he first came to the Apalut tribe, he would naturally receive a warm welcome. Later, the Stone Bear rode back and forth twice between the Gaoshu tribe and the Zio tribe. The compatriots of the Apalut tribe are also familiar with this tall and strong guardian. The last time Shi Xiong came here, he didn't bring any gifts, but this time he brought some high spirits. That was the second batch of wine brewed by Momoko and a group of women in the past 2 months. The other horse carried a lot of such high-quality wine. For these tribes who have helped themselves, the high wine that Stone Bear brought this time is a reward, not only the Apalut tribe, but also the small tribes I passed by before. When Stone Bear arrived at the Apalut tribe, although the sky was still bright, it was still more than 30 miles away from the next tribe. The mountain road is not easy to walk. If you continue to hurry, you will get to the tribe in the middle of the night. Driving in the mountains at night is obviously not a good choice, so Shi Xiong decided to stay overnight in the Apalut tribe and continue on the road tomorrow. However, when Stone Bear saw the Apalut tribe, he was a little shocked. When Stone Bear traveled back and forth between Gaoshu and Zio tribes, he used to live in the Apalut tribe for 2 nights. www.wuxiaspot.com. He still likes this small tribe which is peaceful and quiet in the deep mountains. However, the Apalut tribe in front of me is not as peaceful and tranquil as it used to be. The small wooden houses in the tribe have been burned down. A forest on the south side of the tribe has obviously just experienced a mountain fire, and many trees are only burned. The black trunk is gone. What's wrong? Could it be a wildfire? With doubts, Shi Xiong ran into the Apalut tribe on horseback. The sound of horses' hoofs alarmed the peaceful tribe resident. Many people walked out of the wooden house, each holding bone spears, bows and arrows and other weapons, and most of these people were wounded. What's wrong? Did the Chicashas attack this tribe again? The doubts in Shi Xiong's heart became heavier. He pulled the reins and quickly lowered the horse. People from the Apalut tribe have all seen Stone Bears. After seeing the man who came on horseback as the guardian of the Kabulu sacrifice, everyone put down their weapons, and some of them cried bitterly. A person in his 40s, Kyle Wo half upper body, with a wound that was obviously not clean, appeared in front of Shi Xiong. Shi Xiong is very familiar with this person. He is the leader of the Apalut tribe. Dashi. Seeing the Stone Bear, Dashi was originally sadly connected and showed a bright smile, and then laughed and gave a big hug to the dismounted Stone Bear. Uncle, what's the matter? Did your tribe have been attacked by the Chicashas again? After the hug, Shi Xiong frowned and asked. Dashi shook his head. Guardian of the High Priest Kabru, I'm a little bit ashamed to talk about this. Go, let's enter the house and say. P.S. Bow to thank Little Snake King K100 for the reward. Chapter 231, A Sneak Attack from Uchiren. The wooden house where Oishi lived was well preserved, at least not seen any damage. But when he walked closer along the way, Shi Xiong realized that the loss suffered by the Apaloo tribe was far more serious than just imagined. More than 70% of the houses of the entire Apaloo tribe were damaged. Almost all the outer houses of the tribe were burned down, and most of the houses inside were smoky. Obviously, the enemy's sneak attacks are mainly rockets. At this time, all the Indians living in houses, except for the Inuit in the north, almost all built houses with wood. Well, those Indians living in animal hide tents don't count. There is still a big difference between a tent and a house. The wooden house is indeed relatively simple to build. Dozens of logs are smashed into the ground, covered with thatch mixed with yellow mud, and then covered with a few layers of leaves, and a house is built. Of course, for a slightly more particular wooden house, the roof is also constructed of logs, and then covered with rainproof thatch and leaves. Such houses are usually occupied by big figures in the tribe. The construction of such a wooden house consumes less time and is simple, but it is not fireproof. Once it catches fire, it is almost impossible to save. Along the way, Shi Xiong found that there seemed to be fewer people in the Apaloo tribe. Almost everyone's face was very angry. They just nodded slightly even if they said hello to Shi Xiong's arrival, which is completely different from the previous warm welcome scene. He followed Dashi into the wooden house where he lived. After the two of them sat down, Dashi sighed and said, "Guardian, our tribe has suffered a very serious loss this time. Those damned sneak attackers took advantage of the darkness. Our tribe then fired rockets at our tribe. Several tribesmen were burned to death inside the house. How could this happen? Didn't you notice when the Chickasaw crossed the river?" Shi Xiong asked puzzledly. The Little Tennessee River to the west of the Apaloo tribe is the natural barrier of this tribe. It is not so easy for the Chickasaws in the west to cross the Little Tennessee River unconsciously. The reason why this river was named Little Tennessee River is because this river is the largest tributary of the Tennessee River. It can become the largest tributary of the Tennessee River, the 8th largest river in the United States. The flow of the Little Tennessee River is very abundant. Otherwise, the Americans would not build 5 at one go on this river that is only more than 100 kilometers long. The purpose of this dam is to control this manic river. Now there is no reinforced concrete dam on this river, so the manic river water becomes the best natural barrier. If you want to cross the river safely, or you are very familiar with the large swamp area downstream of the river, and you can find a safe road in that swamp like a local tribe, or you have to go around, the road, along Hunan, finally enters the depths of the Great Smoky Mountains, and crosses the river through the wooden bridge at the narrowest place. If there weren't the kind of sailboats built by the Wasicus, the local aborigines would want to cross the river by that kind of canoe. It is almost impossible in this era that the turbulent currents can directly overturn the canoe. It is obviously impossible to cross the river in the swamps downstream. He is not the bravest and most experienced hunter in the area, and he dared not enter the swamp. When Stone Bear went hunting to the west alone and met Baiyun, he found the best local guide to lead the way through the swamp. Of course, the best local guides are Cherokee, and they can't lead the Chickasaw. As for the wooden bridge deep in the mountains to the south, it was erected by the Apaloo tribe itself, and the tribe has dedicated personnel there to guard it every day. Therefore, it is impossible for the Chickasaw to cross the Little Tennessee River without knowing it. Dashi smiled bitterly and shook his head and said, "It's not the Chickasaws, but the Yuchi people who were driven away by us." The guys climbed the Great Smoky Mountain along the river valley, and then quietly touched our tribe and attacked. Fortunately, there are fewer people from them. Our tribe has been lucky enough to survive. If there are more people from them, our tribe will probably have to go with you. When Dashi said this, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. His voice stopped abruptly, and he looked at Shi Xiong with some anxiety. Shi Xiong shook his head and waved his hand and said, "Uncle, our long-hair cattle tribe has been out of existence for almost a year." "I'm fine." Dashi and Shi Xiong can talk very well, so Dashi has heard about the shaggy cattle tribe from the mouth of a Stone Bear. "Uncle, how dare you kite to attack our Cherokee? Haven't they been driven to the south of the Blue Fog by us long ago?" As early as after the Cherokee moved south to Monongahela, The Cherokee with a large population began to wage war with the Aboriginal people who originally lived in this area. They first drove away the most powerful people in this area at the time, the Powhatans, and then drove the Chickasaw and Yuchi away in the process of expanding south. The Chickasaws, fortunately, said that they migrated westward, relying on this large horrible swamp in central Tennessee as a barrier to prevent the Cherokees from expanding westward, but Yuchi is miserable. As a branch of the Carrie people, the Yuchi people originally lived in the northwest of the Blue Ridge in the south. As a result, the Cherokee came and drove the Yuchi people away unreasonably, and then occupied this relatively flat and property-rich area. The small populated Yuchi couldn't compete with the mighty Cherokee. They had to climb south across the southern Blue Ridge, the Great Smoky Mountains, and went to the south of the Great Smoky Mountains to live. At this time, there was no such two names as Blue Ridge or Great Smoky Mountain. At this time, this large mountain range was called Blue Mist in the Cherokee's mouth. The area where the Yuchi lives is in the southern foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. If marked with the geographic coordinates of later generations, it is about this long and narrow area between Charlotte and Atlanta. But after being driven away, Yuchiran has been very honest. Not to mention the increasingly powerful Cherokees, even the Chickasaws did not dare to provoke them. They have been like this for more than 200 years, but why this time the Yuchi dared to climb the Smoky Mountains so boldly? How about entering the territory of the Cherokee? We must know that although the Great Smoky Mountains are the highest average elevation in the entire Appalachian Mountains www.wuxiaspot.com the Great Smoky Mountains can only effectively block large groups of troops. After all, the mountains are high and deep. It is not suitable for large-scale troop operations. But the small units are different. There are many rivers in the Great Smoky Mountains, and every river has a valley. Just like the Little Tennessee River, walk along the Little Tennessee River all the way upstream. When you reach the end and turn over a mountain, you can find another river, which is the source of the famous Savannah River. As long as the Yuchi people are willing, they can sneak to their former hometown along the river valley. Unfortunately, the Apaloo tribe was attacked by such a small group of Yuchi who sneaked up the Dahu Mountain along the river valley. The Cherokee people drove the Yuchi away from the land where they lived for thousands of years. The two tribes are almost endless feuds, and it is only natural for them to attack. Just how dare these guys be so bold? Do they really think that the Cherokee is dead? Chapter 232, 2 Peach kills 3. It's not that Yuchi is bold, but we are unlucky. We happened to be met by Yuchi. Dashi shook his head and smiled bitterly and gave Shi Xiong an unexpected answer. This time, Yuchi had more than 20 people, all elite fighters. However, in the battle we killed more than a dozen of them. The remaining few ran away, and a few others were injured and we were taken prisoner. I asked some things from these prisoners. Uncle, what do these Yuchi people come to our side to do? And just such a small number of people, are they exploring the way? You guessed it, these elite Yuchi warriors are here to find the way. Dashi said as he stood up and began to pace the house. Actually, I heard some news last month. Well, some news from the west seems to have happened to the west. It seems that something happened in the west. Something happened to Vasiku, and then those Vasikus issued a reward order to offer a reward to a certain tribe. Moreover, the rewards given by those Vasikus were very generous. It is said that there are 100 war horses among them. There are a large number of grains and cotton cloth. Anyway, the reward is extremely generous. Hearing this, Shi Xiong always felt that something was wrong. Dashi continued, last month, people from the Chimosasa tribe from the west said that the Chickasaws and Arkansas from the west were crazy about this reward. Even the Missourians from the northwest were also involved. That's one thing. Hundreds of war horses are a huge asset in any tribe. The Stone Bear of the Chimosasa tribe in Dashizui also knows that it is a tribe of the Cherokee, a small tribe living in the large swamp in the north. Chimosasa means to live in Cherokee, the tribe on the swamp. When Stone Bear passed through the swamp for the first time and when he took the Baiyan family to the Gaoshu tribe, he was led by the guide of the Kaimoshashi tribe. The population of that tribe is even smaller than that of the Apaloo tribe, and that tribe still lives in an area closer to the Chickasaw. It is said to be quite dangerous, but it is strange that the Mushasha tribe has never suffered from Chika. Shakespeare's attack. Are you kidding? The Chimosasha tribe is located in the depths of the swamp. Who dares to trouble them? Let alone the alligators in the swamp. The big swamp alone is enough to stop all of the enemy's footsteps, and no one dares to go deep into that swamp. Thousands of people are nothing at all in front of that swamp. Anyone who dares to enter the swamp will definitely be swallowed up by that swamp with nothing left. Because the place where they live is very close to the Chickasaws, it can even be said that they have entered the territory of the Chickasaws, so the people of the Chimosasha tribe can often get some latest news from the Chickasaws. The relationship between the Upolu tribe and the Chimosasha tribe has always been very good, and there are frequent transactions between the two tribes, so it is not surprising that Dashi got some news from the Chimosasha tribe. 100 war horses, Shi Xiong said in surprise. This is really a big reward. Why did the gang of Vasiku give such a high reward? I heard the little devilfish, the son of the old devilfish, say that it seems that a tribe of our Cherokee tribe cheated Vasiku and defrauded a lot of food, cloth and horses. The most important thing is that the tribe's people also killed a lot of Vasiku, so the leader of Vasiku was angry and vowed to find this tribe. Only then did he offer such a high reward. Hearing this, Shi Xiong almost cursed. Obviously, the tribe the French want to find is the Gaoshu tribe. Killing the French and retrieving so many things from the Akron fortress, aren't all these tasks performed by the warriors leading the tribe? How did these French people figure this out? The captured Frenchmen were finally swallowed by crocodiles and wild wolves. How could they find clues? But Ishikuma doesn't doubt what Uishi said. After all, the news that Dashi said was heard from the son of the leader of the Chimosasha tribe. The leader of the Chimosasha tribe is called the devilfish. The devilfish means crocodile in Cherokee, and it has the same meaning as Ritik in Chickasaw, but the name is different. In this age, the Mi River crocodile, that is, the American alligator, can be seen almost everywhere in the southeastern part of the New World. In the southeastern part of the New World, as long as there are rivers, swamps, and lakes, you can almost see such terrifying creatures. Even in the waters near the Gaoshu tribe, you can see this ferocious creature from time to time. When the Cherokee lived in the Great Lakes region, they had never seen such a cruel creature, but when they moved south to Monongahela, especially the Cherokee who moved to the vicinity of the Great Smoky Mountains, it is often possible to encounter such cruel creatures. Because the crocodile is too ugly and ferocious, in Cherokee, this swimming creature is called the devilfish. The area where Chimosasha lives is in the Everglades, where there are crocodiles, so every leader of the Chimosasha tribe is called a devilfish. The leader of Chimosasha is called the devilfish, and his son is naturally called the little devilfish. Dashi did not notice the strange color on the stone bear's face, but continued, according to the little devilfish, the Chickasaw territory in the west is now in chaos. The Arkansas and Missourians have joined forces and entered the Chickasaw, the territory of the Shakespeare. They are very strong and uniting. In addition, the Chickasaws and the two tribes also have contradictions, so the Arkansas and Missourians united and slaughtered more than 10 Chickasaw tribes. Those guys estimate it was by looking for the guys of that tribe to weaken the strength of the Chickasaws. www.wuxiaspot.com. The Chickasaws are now united. They use their geographical advantages to deal with the coalition forces of the Arkansas and Missourians. Anyway, they fought very hard. Lively. The little devilfish also sent these news to the Red City Alliance. This is a good opportunity to deal with the Chickasaws. If the Red City Alliance sends troops, we can cooperate with the Arkansas and Missourians. The Gaoshu were completely wiped out, but unfortunately, the Red City Alliance did not give any reply, and there seems to be no movement of troops. Shi Xiong nodded silently. Whether the Cherokee Red City Alliance was in charge of the foreign war, Shi Xiong didn't care about it. What he cared about was the situation on the Chickasaw side. The French obviously came with a very clever commander, otherwise they would not play this kind of two peaches kill three men trick now. Obviously, It is almost impossible for the French to find the Gaoshu tribe. That's why they came up with such a trick to use high rewards to let the Indians kill each other. I have to say that this trick is very insidious, but there is no way for the rock bear. Chapter 233, Shaken. Although they had just fought with the Yukai who attacked, the tribesmen of the Apulu tribe still held a grand bonfire dinner in the evening. The Yuchi's sneak attack did bring huge losses to the Apulu tribe, but most of the losses were the houses. The people who really died were just the old, weak, sick and disabled who did not have time to escape from the burning house, and there were not many people who came from the Yuchi. Therefore, the loss of personnel to the Apulu tribe is not much. This bonfire dinner is not to welcome Shi Xiong, but to kill the captured Yukai people. This is not so much a bonfire dinner, as it is a sacrificial activity. The death of a tribe requires other living tribesmen to pray, and killing those captured Yuchi is the best memorial for those who have died. But since the guardian of the high priest Kabra is here, let's welcome it together. For this reason, Shi Xiong took out more than half of the wine from the other horse, which was more than 40 kilograms of high-quality liquor. Shi Xiong knew that at this time, the people of the Apulu tribe needed this thing to numb their nerves. After all, people are dead. As long as they are dead, it is no small matter for this small tribe with a population of only about 80 people. More than 20 of the Yukai people who attacked were killed, 11, captured 6, and the remaining 3 ran away. However, according to Dashi, those 3 guys are not likely to be far away, because more than a dozen elite warriors of the tribe have been chased down, plus those 3 guys have injuries. It is estimated that they will be able to take the 3 of them tomorrow, brought back to commemorate the dead people. Those Yukai who were killed did not escape. The people of the Apulu tribe gathered the bodies of these people, together with the 6 prisoners, and prepared to chop off the heads of these guys by the people who lost their loved ones. The scene was bloody. If he had been in a previous life, Shi Xiong would definitely not be able to stand this, but in this age, Shi Xiong has become numb to human life or death. In this age and place close to primitive society, human lives are very valuable, but they are not, because no one knows when they will die in the hands of the enemy or be eaten by extremely hungry beasts. The weak and strong food is reflected here to the fullest. The high-level liquor brought by the guardian is loved by all the Apulu tribes. The strong aroma of the wine is mixed with the smell of just cutting off the head and the meaty smell of the barbecue. It is not necessary to stimulate these people. In front of the bonfire, there were 17 hideous heads and 11 corpses. Outside the bonfire was a group of Chiluo-chested Indians screaming and dancing strange dances, and from time to time they grabbed a wooden bowl and took a swig. There is no one in this scene. Of course, if some guys full of literary and artistic cells in later generations see this scene, they will probably say something like this is Kailuo's violent aesthetics. Anyway, Ishikama doesn't feel much anymore. He has seen scenes 10 times more tragic than this one with his own eyes. This is like a drizzle in his eyes. He now pays more attention to the roasted venison in his hand, which was hunted by the hunters of the Apulu tribe in the afternoon. The roasted venison is delicious, coupled with the refined salt made by the Gaoshu tribe. It really makes people want a second bite after one bite, and a third bite after a second bite. Guardian, the wine you brought is so delicious. Dashi sitting next to Shi Xiong let out a loud wine hiccup, and said to Shi Xiong with a smile. Like to drink? Shi Xiong squinted at the tribe leader. They all like to drink. They all like to drink. I like to drink too, Dashi said cheerfully. Okay, then I will bring you more when I come next time, Shi Xiong said cheerfully. Dashi waved his hand. Guardian, I don't mean that. I mean, can our tribe trade with your tribe? When you came last time, you said that your tribe is now talking to the Vasikas in the east. Trade with them with salt. But you have seen our situation here. We also want to trade with the Vasikas, and trade some more horses with them. But we have no way to trade with the Vasikas, so I just want our tribe to trade with your tribe, and then you trade some more horses with those Vasikas for us. The Stone Bear did not immediately agree. He basically understood the situation of the Apulu tribe. This small tribe in the deep mountains did not have any special products. Most of the tribe depended on fishing for their livelihoods, planting, picking, and hunting assistance. Yes, they don't even care about their stomachs now, so what are they going to trade? Dashi saw the look on Shi Xiong's face, smiled, reached out and took out a small animal skin bag hanging from his waist, and poured out some granular particles of various sizes from the bag into his palm. With the help of the light from the bonfire, Shi Xiong saw clearly the handful of things on the palm of Dashi's hand, and the golden light almost made Shi Xiong jump up. "Uncle, where did you get the black iron?" Black iron is what the Indians call gold, and the handful of granular things in the palm of Dashi's hand are surprisingly a handful of sand gold. Among these sands, there are a few gold grains about the same size as pea grains, and many of them are sands that are not much larger than sand. The Indians, especially the Indians in the West and the Indians who live deep in the mountains, do not pay much attention to gold. In their opinion, gold is soft and difficult to mine, and there is no way to smelt it. It is not as good as one. The iron knife is valuable. Although Indians in South and Central America have mastered the technology of smelting gold, in North America, gold smelting technology is only in the hands of a very small number of tribes, so gold is really useless for North American Indians. This is the biggest role of this metal. Even before the European refers to the colonists entering the New World, the Indians in the entire New World of North America had this view of gold. In fact, not only the Indians in North America, but also the Indians in Central and South America have this view of gold. Whether they are the Mayans, the Aztecs, or the Incas, they all have their own social forms and countries, but they don't think much about the metal like gold. www.wuxiaspot.com. And this is the case. Metal is not rusty and the color is the same as the sun's rays before it is used for decoration. In other respects, gold is really of little use. You need to know that the Spanish who entered the South American continent and Central America early that year, the local Indians even exchanged equal-weight gold for a knife made of pig iron. North American Indians who have no social form and no country do not care much about gold. Just from the name black iron, it can be seen that the Indians really don't care about gold. This is about 3 months ago when a few warriors of our tribe went into the deep mountains to hunt, and then they found it from the bank of a small river. I know those Vasicus like this kind of thing, so I want to use this thing's exchange some horses with those Vasicus. Guardian, do you think it's okay? Ro, of course it does. How can this matter? This is gold enough to drive those colonists crazy. Exchange this thing for horses, that is definitely a matter of grasping. Shi Xiong nodded and said, Uncle, it's okay to use this thing to exchange war horses with Vasicus. Chapter 234. Inexplicably uneasy. The Appalachian Mountains is an uncompromising mountain, and the stone bears who will pass through from the future know it very well. It is no exaggeration to say that the United States was able to surpass the Sunless Empire to become the world's largest industrial producer within a short period of more than 100 years after the founding of the country. The fundamental reason lies in this mountain rich in mineral deposits. Before the oil boom, coal and iron were the most important mineral resources of mankind after the first industrial revolution. The northern part of the Appalachian Mountains is full of such things. Even several large coalfields and large iron ore mines are world-class. It is precisely by virtue of the coal and iron resources that are abundant in this mountain range that the Americans quickly surpassed the veteran old British and became the world's largest industrial producer. Even after the boom in oil applications, many large oil fields have been found in this mountain range. You know that the first oil well in the United States that year was the Drake Well in Titusville, Pennsylvania, which was located in the northwest of the Appalachian Mountains. Although the first oil well in the United States had a daily output of only 30 barrels, or about 4 tons, with the discovery of this oil well, Pennsylvania became the earliest oil center in the United States. The world's first oil tycoon, John Rockefeller, made his fortune from the oil produced in Pennsylvania. In addition to coal and iron oil, this mountain range also has many other mineral resources, such as wood, animal fur, base metal or non-ferrous metal or stone. It can be said that the resources that humans can find in this almost all can be found in the mountains. Of course, compared to coal, iron ore and base metal mines, the amount of precious metal mines in this mountain range is not very large. At least the precious metal mines here are not comparable to the gold mines, silver mines, and copper-gold mines in the Western Plateau. The reserves of the mine are comparable. However, in this era, even a small placer gold mine is enough to drive the vast majority of European colonists crazy, and it is enough to make a small Indian tribe become a huge wealth. A placer gold mine could be found near the Apalute tribe, which surprised Stone Bear a bit, but thinking about the rich mineral resources of this mountain range, he immediately understood. Although this mountain range that stretches for more than 3,000 kilometers is not very high, there are really a lot of treasures hidden in this mountain range. Even in the 21st century, the United States, the most advanced in the world, has not completely surveyed this mountain range. The ghost knows how many precious mineral resources are hidden in this mountain range. The Apalute tribe can find a placer gold mine, which is also a good thing for the Stone Bear. After all, if Dashi wants to turn these gold into the materials they need, such as food, salt, war horses, and cloth, they all need channels. Without the corresponding trading channels, gold is nothing but iron. The value of anything does not lie in its own, but in other people's views and demand for it. To give the most popular example, how much is a bottle of mineral water worth $1 in the supermarket if it is taken in the desert? If you are a person carrying 10 kilograms of gold and you are about to die of thirst at this time, would you say you would use these 10 kilograms of gold to buy this bottle of water? And if you are replaced by the world's richest man who happens to be dying of thirst in the desert at this time, you sell him this bottle of mineral water, how much can you sell for it? The same goes for these golds. This thing is real gold in the hands of Europeans, but in the Apalute tribe, it is just some beautiful metallic sand. As the leader of the Apalute tribe, Dashi naturally understands this truth. So when Dashi heard Shi Xiong's answer, his old face naturally turned into a sunflower. Uncle, your tribe should mine these black iron as much as possible. I want as much as possible. What you want to trade? Except war horses, I can trade to you temporarily. Grain, cotton cloth, salt, ironware. Our tribe has a lot of these things. Since the unexpected joy of the placer gold mine, Stone Bear naturally has to make good use of it. Compared to salt, gold is obviously more popular with colonists, and it can be traded with colonists faster and better. Stone Bear will never mind one more super heavyweight gold in his trading varieties. The red-faced boulder drank again and asked in a low voice, Guardian, how do you say we should trade? The Yuchi attacked us last night, and their rocket hit the food warehouse of our tribe. As a result, the food in the warehouse was all burned. Our tribe is short of food. Can we trade some food with your tribe first? How much food do you want to trade? Shi Xiong bit off a piece of venison with his teeth, and asked while chewing. At least 100 bags of corn are needed. It would be better if there are other potatoes and sweet potatoes. Guardian, you know that there is still more than a month before the harvest of potatoes, and the food support of our tribe will not be at that time. There are more than 80 people in the tribe, and at least 100 bags of food need to be eaten a month. After a pause, Dashi continued to state his conditions. How about I exchange a bag of black iron as heavy as grain for your 100 bags of corn? Or you can exchange 150 bags of potatoes or sweet potatoes. The conditions that the Dashi offered stunned Shi Xiong. It was not that the price given by Dashi was low, but that it was too high. In the weight of the Cherokee tribe, a bag of grain is almost equivalent to 25 caddies for later generations. Dashi intends to exchange 25 caddies of jinsha for 100 bags of corn, which is 2,500 caddies of corn. How much is 25 caddies of gold worth? According to the calculation of 300 yuan per gram of later generations, 25 caddies of gold is 3.75 million. Used 3.75 million to buy 2,500 caddies of corn. How much does this corn cost a caddy? 1,005 pounds. Obviously, Dashi does not know the true value of these gold. Seeing Shi Xiong startled, Dashi thought he would give less. After all, 1 bag was exchanged for 100 bags, and he himself felt that the exchange ratio was a bit low. So Dashi gritted his teeth and said, "Guardian, or else less exchange points." It took more than 20 women in our tribe more than 3 months to find a bag of grain-heavy black iron, which we can now trade. There is only so much black iron. Seeing Dashi's embarrassed expression, Shi Xiong shook his head slightly and said, "Uncle, the price is already high. Let's take a bag of grain-heavy black iron out, and I will trade you 200 bags of corn. From now on, if your tribe still has black iron, we can trade at this ratio." "Really?" Hearing Shi Xiong's conditions, Dashi's face bloomed with joy again. "Uncle, the price is actually very unfair to you. However, although our tribe's food is sufficient, it is not very rich. After all, our tribe is now preparing to take back the tribe that was previously separated, so that more food will be needed. Therefore, I can only give you this price temporarily. This is already very good." "Guardian, the price you gave has greatly exceeded my expectations. I agree to use this price for future transactions." "But Guardian, how do we trade?" Seeing that Dashi set the price so surely, Shi Xiong did not object anymore. "It's all things you love and I want. Shi Xiong doesn't want to be a mother bitch. He has doubled the price, which is worthy of Dashi. Uncle, you can take your people to our Gaoshu tribe for specific transactions. You should know the way, right?" Dashi nodded. Although he has not been to the Gaoshu tribe, he knows the general direction and also knows that there are paths leading to the Gaoshu tribe. "Uncle, your people walk along that road all the way to the east. www.wuxiaspot.com. After you reach the end, you can walk a little further south to see another road, and then you follow that road again. Shi Xiong told Dashi about the way to the Gaoshu tribe, and finally he said, "Uncle, I am going to the west tomorrow. I can't take you to our tribe." "Take it with you. It's good if people go there. When you get to our tribe, you can go directly to the Kabulu priest, and you can tell her that this is the deal I have set, and someone in the tribe will execute this deal." Okay, Guardian, you saved the lives of everyone in our tribe. "But Guardian, since you are going to a place further west tomorrow, then you must pay attention to your safety." Recently, not only the Kaza, after all the chaos, even the Yuchi began to move around. The attack on our tribe last night was not bad. I heard the little devilfish say that many of the Chikashi tribes in the west were exterminated by the Yuchi. This gang of Yuchi took advantage of the fact that the Chikashis and the Arkansas and Missouri coalition forces had already begun an action against the Chikashis. "So you must be careful when you go there tomorrow." Shi Xiong nodded slightly. He was very grateful for the news that Dashi told him, but he always had an inexplicable anxiety in his heart. P.S. At 7:30 in the morning, Lao Mo's family is still more than 100 kilometers away from the airport, so the 2 chapters are sent out first, and after sending Lao Mo, he has to leave for the airport. Chapter 235, Angry Roar. The restless stone bear didn't sleep well at night, and as soon as it was lighted the next day, he bid farewell to the big stone and rode away from the Apulu tribe. On the way, Shi Xiong has been wondering why he has such a bad feeling in his heart, but he hasn't come up with anything after thinking about it. The Apulu tribe discovered gold. This was good news at first, but Shi Xiong didn't take it to heart. Shi Xiong estimates that this place or gold mine should not be too big. If it is a large gold mine like the Western Plateau area, Shi Xiong will definitely take it to heart, but this kind of reserves is estimated to be more than a dozen tons or even a few tons of small gold mine. Shi Xiong's interest is really not great. Is it because Uchiren sneaked over the Blue Ridge? The stone bear riding on the horse controlled the horse under the crotch and carefully avoided some rocks, while continuing to consider. It's not difficult for the French to find out that their people are missing or killed. After all, the finishing touches that night weren't very clean. Besides, Major Armand is the highest military commander of Fort Akron after all. He is considered a mid-level officer in the French army stationed in the New World in France. The sudden disappearance of such a major who controls a military fortress will definitely arouse the suspicion of the French. As long as the French are suspicious, It is not difficult to find out where Major Armand went. After all, the relationship between the Redditch tribe and the Alcaron fortress is very good, as long as the Alcaron fortress sends someone to the Redditch tribe to ask. Just one question will tell you where Armand and the Whistling Snake were going. If this is the case, then it can explain why the French issued such a reward order. They must have figured out the ins and outs of the matter. Well, it should be that they don't know the specific location of the Gaoshu tribe. That's why it is said in the reward order that a Cherokee tribe will be investigated. It's just that the Arkansas and Missourians came to mix with them, and those Yuchis. Is this Chickasha really going to end this time? The Arkansas and Missourians themselves are not inferior to the Chickashas, although the Yuchi are a little bit worse. They sneak attack from behind. Now the entire Chickasha tribe is facing the attack of the three tribes. Even if they can resist it, it is estimated that it will pay a great price. It is estimated that the guys in the Red City Alliance have already seen this, so they have not been busy sending troops. The Red City Alliance is preparing to sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight. It seems that the Red City Alliances and there are also superiors. The four stone bears diverged very quickly. Almost within a few years, from the French side, they thought of the Cherokee Red City Alliance. But even so, Shi Xiong still didn't find out what made him feel uneasy. This small road from Gaoshu tribe to Zio tribe and even further to other tribes is not easy to follow. This road is intermittent, and most of them are in deep mountains and old forests. There are many places where you must dismount the horse and lead the horse. So don't look at the Apalu tribe being only 100 miles away from the Zio tribe, but the stone bear still arrives near noon. Looking at the familiar hill in front of him, Shi Xiong breathed a sigh of relief. He knew very well that as long as he climbed over the hill and then walked through a forest, he would be able to reach the valley where the Zio tribe was located. The thought of seeing his beloved lover soon made Shi Xiong's heart hot. "Drive!" Shi Xiong yelled. He didn't care if the horse could understand the driving slogan from the east. However, the big horse under the crotch is obedient, and it feels that the owner on his back kicks his abdomen gently, and the horse knows that the owner is about to let him go. Even though he has been running for a long distance and his body is exhausted, the big horse still struggles to trot forward. The other horse behind it was tied with a rope, so it could only continue to trot with it. 10 minutes later, 2 horses and 1 man finally reached the top of this hill. Shi Xiong was about to take a break, but he was stunned by the scene in front of him. Was on the back of this hill just now, because the hill was blocked by dense woods. The stone bear could not see the scene on the other side of the hill. Now standing on the top of the mountain, he can clearly see the view of the valley not far away. I saw the valley that was supposed to be very peaceful. At this time, there was thick smoke everywhere, and plumes of smoke rose into the sky, just like the cities that have experienced disasters in the disaster movies in the previous life. Damn, what's going on? Shi Xiong couldn't help but explode, but then he immediately realized what was the reason for his inexplicable anxiety last night. Something happened to the Zio tribe. Could someone attack here? Shi Xiong felt anxious, and when he urged the horse under his hips, the horse snorted with a loud snout, and ran quickly down the mountain. But the Zio tribe has more than 1,500 people, and there are hundreds of soldiers alone. Who can move the Zio tribe? Who dares to move the Zio tribe? Although Shi Xiong is very reluctant to admit that the Zio tribe has been attacked, the truth is it's in front of you, and it seems that the loss of the Zio tribe should be great, very great. As the saying goes, there are eggs under the cover of the nest. Since the Zio tribe has suffered an inexplicable attack and it seems to be quite serious, what will happen to Baiyun? Since the soul has been worn to this place of this era, to be honest, even if Shi Xiong has done so many things, he has always viewed the entire new world with a condescending attitude in his heart. He himself feels that he has never been integrated into this place. In a magnificent era. As the previous high priest Kabur who has passed away said, the stone bear is like a true son of God, looking down on them all the time. But since meeting Baiyun, Shi Xiong felt like a real person alive, and he felt that he had fallen from a high altitude to the ground, turning from a bird's eye view into a normal person. Although love is not omnipotent, Shi Xiong thinks that this kind of sudden love has completely reborn himself and completely becomes a real person. Now www.wuxiasput.com. This woman who has completely reborn herself and made herself feel the beauty of life is in an extremely dangerous situation. Is Shi Xiong not anxious? This is the only woman who makes him be fascinated in his past and present life. It is also the lover who makes him willing to spend a lifetime with him. The horse seemed to feel the master's anger, and began to run faster and faster. When the stone bear entered the valley where the Xiao tribe was located through the woods, the scene in front of him made him suddenly roar when the wild beasts were angry. The next moment, he took the big bow that had been on his back, and backhand drew a black iron arrow from the quiver hung on the horseback. The two arms fought against each other. The one was outrageously big. Suddenly, his long bow was drawn into a full moon. Then, with a scream, the black iron arrow lost its trace almost instantly, leaving the bowstring trembling constantly. But Shi Xiong could see clearly that the iron arrow was flying towards the head of a man riding a tall horse on the opposite side. Chapter 236. Catch the thieves first. The moment I saw the Xiao tribe, Shi Xiong almost subconsciously analyzed the situation facing the Xiao tribe. There are many people attacking the Xiao tribe, almost 1,000 people. But the clothing and weapons of these people are not uniform. This should be the joint attack of the Xiao tribe by multiple tribes. Although the Xiao tribe is a large tribe with more than 1,500 people, the number of warriors in the tribe is much smaller than the number of enemies. In addition, the enemy should attack suddenly and occupy the terrain from top to bottom. Convenience, so the Xiao tribe sacrificed a lot. However, these attackers should not be chi caches, because this is different from the chi caches that Stone Bear has seen. The most important thing is that more than 90% of the people in the Xiao tribe are chi caches. How could the people who attacked the Xiao tribe be chi caches? Although the Kaza people are assholes, they really don't have the habit of attacking their own people. And Stone Bear also rejected the possibility that it was a coalition of Arkansas and Missourians. According to the information provided by Gaoshu yesterday, the coalition of Arkansas and Missourians should now be fighting the chi caches in the lower reaches of the Big Bend. The location of the Little River tribe is already in the upper middle and upper reaches of the Big Bend. The clone fortress is still far away. The most important thing is that if the coalition of Arkansas and Missourians is really coming to attack the Little River tribe, then they must attack from the entrance of the river valley, but this is not the case now. The breakthrough point for these enemies' attacks was not at the entrance of the steep valley. They attacked by climbing over the mountains on the south side of the valley. If these enemies attack from the entrance of the valley, relying on the number of soldiers of the Xiao tribe, these numbers of enemies will not be able to attack at all. The rugged stone bear at the entrance of the valley had been seen with his own eyes, so the stone bear dared to make such a judgment. But the enemy had climbed over the big mountain on the south side of the valley to attack from a condescending position, so the geographical conditions of the Xiao tribe would not have fallen. So, these people should be those Yuchi people. No matter who they are, as long as they are not Cherokee, as long as they are attacking the Xiao tribe, then they are all enemies of Stone Bear. There are many enemies, but most of them attack on foot. Bone spears, arrows, stone knives, and stone axes are the most common weapons in the hands of the enemy. Of course, there are also some archers standing on the hillside and attacking the Xiao tribe with rockets. More than 70% of the houses in the Xiao tribe were ignited. And it was these rockets who did it. On the hillside halfway up about 200 meters away from where Shi Xiong stood, 8 men on horseback were pointing at the battle below, seeming to be discussing something. Although far away, these guys on horseback are definitely the leaders of these enemies. After all, the Yuchis are even worse than the chi caches. They have fewer war horses in their hands. Only a few high-ranking tribes are qualified to ride horses, and ordinary warriors cannot be qualified to ride horses. Therefore, after analyzing the general situation on the battlefield, the first target of the Stone Bear's attack was the 8 guys riding horses more than 200 meters away. As the saying goes, shoot people first, shoot horses, catch thieves first. Super Chief, Hemo, the latest chapter's mobile interview. I want to talk about Super Chief with more like-minded people, and follow excellent literature on WeChat to read novels and chat life. Find a confidant if you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World. It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237, Humazu. At the same time that Stone Bear shot the arrow, General Claire couldn't help laughing after hearing the news reported by the chief blood shark of the Chikman tribe in the fortress of Akron hundreds of miles away. More than 2 months ago, General Claire issued a reward order in the name of the Supreme Military Commander of the French Empire Army in Louisiana, and then left the Akron fortress and continued to inspect other military fortresses along the river north. After more than 2 months, he returned to Akron fortress and listened to the report of the blood shark who had been stationed here. "My lord, this strategy of yours is very effective. In the 2 months or so after the reward order was issued, the entire Chickasaw tribe has been in a mess. The Arkansas in the west and the Missourians in the north are under our direction. They have also joined in, and they are now fighting in this area. According to the information that my clansmen have found, it seems that the Yukai people in the south can't hold back. They have secretly crossed the Big Blue Fog and are quietly occupying Chica, the territory of the Sharon." The blood shark told General Claire all the news he had, and he immediately made General Claire laugh. "Blood shark, who do you think was the one who killed Armand and the soldiers? Can you see it now?" After the laugh, General Claire gently asked the blood shark beside him. "My lord, I don't think the Cherokees did this. Although the Cherokees are strong, they don't have the conditions to do this. As far as I know, the Cherokees are the closest tribe to the Akron fortress, hundreds of miles away. This area is full of swamps, which is not suitable for large-scale military operations at all, so I think it is impossible for the Cherokees to cross the swamp and come to Fort Akron." Claire nodded slightly. "Blood shark, in fact, at this time, it doesn't matter whether the Cherokee did it or not. The important thing is that it was the Chickasaw who instigated Armand to send troops. If not, these Chickasaws, we will not lose more than 100 elite soldiers and 4 armed inland water transport ships for no reason. So whether this is done by the Cherokee or not, we must let this the instigator of the incident, that is, the Chickasaw paid the price." The blood shark froze for a moment, and then said clearly, "My lord, I understand what you mean. This reward order you issued is not to find the murderer who did it, but to avenge the Chickasaw." Well, it is true. As the initiators of this incident, the Chickasaws must pay for our soldiers and ships. It's just that the Chickasaws have always been friendly with us. If we do it directly, this will damage our reputation. Now, we can make these natives kill each other only with a vague reward. It's so wonderful." The blood shark smiled and said, "It's sir that your plan is wonderful. This time the Chickasaw will inevitably pay a heavy price. As far as I know, the Yuchi in the south of the Great Blue Mist can almost be called an outburst. Their chief seems to have led the warriors himself. Now that the Chickasaws are entangled by the Arkansas and Missourians, these Yuchis will inevitably take advantage of them." "Oh, the chiefs of Uchiran led his troops to fight? It should be like this, my lord. The Yuchi tribe is a small tribe, and their mother tribe is the Cree who lives in the southeastern region of the New World. Compared with the powerful Cree tribe that can directly compete with the Cherokee tribe, the Yuchi tribe is much smaller in scale. Since the Yuchi separated from the Carrie ethnic group thousands of years ago, they have been living in the mountainous area north of Lanwu. The rich resources here allow the Yuchi people to live well, and at the same time they can act as a northern barrier for their mother, the Cree. Before the Cherokee moved south, there were 2 tribes living in this area. One is the Yuchi and the other is the Chickasaw. With the support of the mother clan, the Yuchi clan did not fall behind when facing the Chickasaw clan. But after the Cherokee moved south to Monongahela more than 300 years ago, the balance here was immediately broken. Even if the Cherokees are nothing in the Iroquois alliance further north, when they carry tens of thousands of people southward, Neither the Chikasha nor the Yuchi can stop them. Even the mother of the Yuchi, the people inside have exercised restraint and dared not face the Cherokee hard. Throughout the history of human development, people living in high latitudes are always stronger than people living in low latitudes. The Huns, Mongols, Jurchens, Vikings of Eurasia. These people living in high latitudes have proven their toughness time and time again with their actual actions. Similarly, the Indians living in the Great Lakes region are far more fierce than the Indians living in the southern part of the New World. The falling flowers and flowing water from the Tans scared the Missourians who were contending with the Pointons to flee, and even drove the UK, who had the support of the Carey, directly to the south of Lanwood. Only the poor Chikashas were blocked to the east of the river. If it weren't for the large swamp between the Chikashas and the Cherokees, the Chikashas would have been annihilated by the Cherokees. Of course, the reason why Uchiren was quickly expelled to the south of the Blue Fog was because of the strength of the Cherokees, and the other reason was because the Chikashas fell into trouble. Uchiren knew that they could not compete with the mighty Cherokee, nor could they avenge the Cherokee, but this does not mean that they would let the Chikashas go. www.wuxiasput.com. Since being expelled to the south of the Blue Mist, Uchiren has been thinking about how to take revenge on Chika'. Therefore, when the chief of the Yuchi tribe, Humazio, learned that the Chikashas were being suppressed by the Arkansas and Missourians, he decided to send troops to retaliate against the Chikashas. The meaning of Humazulu in the language of the Yuchi people is as stable as the mountain. Every chief of the Yuchi tribe is called Humazio. When the Yuchi chief Humazio determined that the Chikashas had no time to distract, he immediately contacted all the tribes in the tribe and asked these tribes to send troops. Under the command of the chief, the various tribes of the Yuchi sent their most elite fighters to form a coalition of about 2,000 people. They were divided into 3 groups over the Blue Fog and went north to attack the Chikashas. If they can kill some of them by the way, the Rocky tribe, they don't mind doing this. The entire Yuchi tribe has only about 7,000 people, and the number of 2,000 people is the largest number of fighters this tribe can put together. The 500 people on the westernmost side had already set out to bypass the Blue Fog and entered the Chikasha territory. The 500 people on the easternmost side were preparing to set off, but their spies had already set off first. The 1,000-strong army led by Humazio climbed the Blue Ridge along the valley in the Blue Mist. Their goal was a large tribe of Chikasha at the foot of the Blue Mist. According to the Chikasha spies living in that tribe is a secluded tribe with more than 1,500 people, but most of them are Chikasha. Such a large tribe who doesn't like war is the most suitable for a leeway. Therefore, Humazio led the Chinese army coalition consisting of the tribal royal court and 7 other large tribes to the Zio tribe. Chapter 238, Who did this? Don't look at Yukai being driven to the south of Blue Mist by Cherokees and Chikashas, but for these years, Yukai has never given up the idea of returning to the north of Blue Mist. For this reason, the Yuchi planted many spies among the Chikashas and Cherokees. Well, this kind of person is called Zizuo in the ancient Chinese language, and it is called a spy in the modern name of the past life. In order to install these spies, Uchiren suffered a lot. After all, in this era, every Indian tribe is maintained by blood, and it is difficult for people who are not from the tribe to integrate into the tribe. Every tribe is extremely wary of outsiders, even if you are a member of your tribe. Just like the 20-something individuals of the long-hair cattle tribe who wanted to integrate into the Gaoshu tribe, they had to get the consent of the leader of the tribe, Li Lei. Otherwise they would not be able to enter the Gaoshu tribe. The long-hair cattle tribe is a tribe separated from the Gaoshu tribe, and it is so difficult to return, let alone an outsider. Therefore, it is really difficult for Yukai to plant spies in the tribe of Chikashas and Cherokees. Send out 10 spies, I'm afraid 9 of them will be killed. The Zio tribe is a secluded tribe, and the monitoring of this aspect is not so strict. So only a spy of the Yuchi can be integrated into the Zio tribe. The situation of the Zio tribe was also obtained by this spy. So the Zio tribe was Humazio as the first target of the attack. Of course, It is not easy to deal with a large tribe with more than 1,500 people. The population of the Xiao tribe is even more than the population of the Yuchi king. So even if Humazio gathered 1,000 elite warriors, he knew the path leading to the Xiao tribe, but he still chose to attack the Xiao tribe in the early hours of the morning. Since it is a sneak attack, the rocket is naturally the best choice. More than 100 archers selected from the entire Yuchi tribe took on the mission of the first wave of rocket raids. All the Yukai people took advantage of the night to climb over the mountain, and then lined up halfway up the mountain. More than 100 rocketers fired and pulled their bows at the same time, sending more than 100 ignited rockets to the most concentrated place of the Xiao tribe cabin. A series of shooting caused the fire to burn in a very short period of time. Many of the tribesmen of the Xiao tribe didn't even have time to run out of their wooden huts and were burned to death in them. And those who ran out had almost no weapons in their hands. When faced with 700 or 800 elite fighters holding weapons, it was almost a slaughter. Even if the Xiao tribe organized some fighters to resist, the soldiers of the Xiao tribe were still seriously injured in the face of the prepared and geographically superior Yuchi. The battle lasted from the early hours of the morning until noon. Seeing that the warriors in this tribe of more than 1,500 people were about to be slaughtered to death, the leaders of Humazio and the other 7 tribes were naturally very happy. This is tribe of more than 1,500 people. Kill all the men in it, and all the women will go back captive, and the strength of the Yuchi tribe will increase a lot. Seeing that this goal was about to be achieved, Humazio was also very excited, and laughed on the horse. But the next moment, he only felt a sudden cold in his mouth, which was the last sensation he could feel. When did I have a black arrow in my mouth? This was also Humazulu's last thought in this world when he saw the iron arrow with the tail trembling constantly. And the 7 tribal leaders standing behind Humazio on horseback did not notice at first that a black, outrageously large iron arrow penetrated their chief's mouth. The arrow was more than half a meter long. The arrow shaft of the chief came out from the back of the chief's head, and the sights of the 7 of them still fell on the battlefield below. For them, if they can capture the women in this tribe, their tribe can also increase many fertile women, which is also of great help to enhance the strength of their tribe. Although this attack on this tribe caused the warriors of their tribe to lose some people, as long as those women are captured, more than a decade later, there will be many more elite warriors in the tribe. Some of the women below were crying in panic, but most of them were fighting with sticks and stones in their hands like those men. What a wonderful woman! This is almost the common idea of the 7 tribe leaders, and their greedy eyes are also explaining their thoughts. Therefore, the tribal leaders who paid attention to the women below did not find that their chief had been shot by a huge iron arrow. Of course, they did not find that the 2nd and 3rd iron arrows were moving from 200, shooting towards them from several meters away. When the first iron arrow was shot into Chief Humazio's mouth, it had completely destroyed his brainstem. www.wuxiaspot.com. Death came to this Yuchi man in just a few seconds, Chief. But because the muscles have not completely lost their durability, there is no conscious body anymore. Oh no. It should be said that it is a corpse. He still insisted on swaying on the horse for a few seconds before he plunged his head on the ground. At the moment when Humazio's body fell to the ground, the 2nd iron arrow, mixed with a strange howling sound, accurately hit a tribe leader's neck. Driven by the huge impact of the iron arrow, the body of the tribe leader seemed to have been hit by a mad buffalo. His body rose from the horseback, and the bright red blood sprayed from the neck was in the air. After passing a gorgeous mark, he fell heavily to the ground, his body still twitching. At this time, the other 6 tribal leaders realized that not only their friends had been shot through the neck with an arrow, but their chieftain had been shot to death. A series of meaningless exclamations burst out from the mouths of the 6 tribe leaders. Their exclamations were so loud that the archers standing on either side of them were all twisting together. They passed their heads, and then they also saw that their chief had died under the horse. Of course, just as the archers turned their heads, the 3rd iron arrow also appeared abruptly from a distance. This 3rd iron arrow accurately hit the cheek of a tribe leader. The sturdy skull did not resist the sharp iron arrow. The head of the tribe leader seemed to be hammered with a sledgehammer. His head suddenly leaned back, and then fell under the horse without saying a word. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. They never thought of how their chief and their partners would be shot so abruptly. Who did this? Chapter 239, Angry. This is the first real anger of the stone bear soul after it has penetrated into this world. If you didn't encounter Baiyan, the Zio tribe would be attacked, and stone bear would definitely not even take care of it. For the stone bear, a tribe dominated by Chikashes, even if it is a secluded tribe, even if the tribe produces saltpeter, the stone bear will never care. The sky is big and the earth is big. My own safety is the greatest. The combined experience of the past and present life has made him understand the importance of keeping one's life wise. Especially after he was hit by a car, he came to this age of shame, so that he had experienced death completely understand that nothing is more important than his own life. The battlefield in front of me is an out-and-out small meat grinder. Shi Xiong didn't have the mind to face the drowsy enemy and the more than 100 rocket players. If he rushed into the battlefield, he was looking for death. Even if the Gaoshu tribe was attacked like this, as long as he was not completely surrounded, Shi Xiong felt that he would turn around and leave when things were irreversible. The founding grandfather of China has a 16-character famous saying that the land is saved and people are lost, and people and land are lost, people and land are saved, and people and land are saved. Shi Xiong very much agrees with the 16-character mantra spoken by Taizu Yi. Therefore, if it is not a very special situation, Shi Xiong will not let himself take risks easily without being sure. It's just like the last time I went to Alcrin Fortress. Although it was a very dangerous thing, in fact, Stone Bear was very sure about the trip to Alcrin Fortress. That's why he led the Horde warriors to go straight, Longton. But the war, especially the current war where the enemy is strong and we are weak, would definitely not participate in Shi Xiong if it was changed in peacetime. Even if the body is strong and the strength value is high, no matter how high the personal strength value is, it is not a big deal in this kind of battle of thousands of people. So Stone Bear will never touch the stone with that egg. But now, Shi Xiong can't help but do things like hitting the egg with the stone. His lover, the only girl in his 2 lifetimes combined, the girl who will become his only wife in a few months, is now in the midst of this battle. How can this keep the stone bear from getting angry? Although I have not known Baiyan for a long time, and although there is no sweet vow between the two people, Shi Xiong has always known that the quiet and virtuous girl is the one who needs protection in her life. If anyone dares to hurt her, he the bear will hunt down that person for a lifetime, even if he pays everything for it, including his life. He will never hesitate to die. Now, the densely packed enemies are hurting the tribe of his lover. Maybe his lover is resisting desperately in a certain corner. Maybe ... That kind of guess that he didn't want to imagine made Shi Xiong furious. He didn't dare to imagine the guess that he didn't dare to imagine. He didn't dare, really didn't dare ... So Shi Xiong now wants to use his best ability to save his lover. However, even if the stone bear is going crazy now, he has experienced soul-piercing death, experienced the frequent deaths of the Longhair cattle tribe, experienced the cruelty after the Gaoshu Pass fire bull array, and experienced the Austrian clone like a dragon pool. After the visit to the fortress, Stone Bear's nerves have been tempered like steel wires. Even if he was crazy and worried, but he still used his instinct to analyze the overall situation of the entire battlefield in an instant, and then he would pull the big bow that had always been with him, and he would shoot people first and shoot horses. Catch the thief first, catch the king. The enemy is heavy, and hard resistance is obviously not a good idea, but what if you want to make the enemy mess up by itself? Wouldn't there be a chance? And killing these guys who are obviously high-level enemies is undoubtedly a good way to make the enemy self-confident. Therefore, at the moment of analyzing the battlefield situation, Shi Xiong used his fastest speed to open the bow 8 times in a row, and accurately sent the 8 carefully crafted iron arrows to the 8 horses more than 200 meters away. In the body of the guy. Rao is Shi Xiong, who is strong, but he opened his bow 8 times in a very short period of time, pulling the big bow to the full every time, which still made Shi Xiong's arms feel sore. But this kind of effort is very worthwhile, because Shi Xiong clearly saw that the 8 riders fell from the horse one by one. One of them was blocked by the horse's head, and the iron arrow was shot through. After the horse's neck was nailed, it was nailed to the man's chest, and the man and the horse were nailed together. Shi Xiong had no doubt about his arrow skills. He also knew that the hope of survival of the 8 riders was infinitely close to zero. So when he finished shooting the 8 arrows, he immediately put the big bow on his back, drew out the big knife hung on the horse's back, clamped his legs into the belly of the horse, and quickly rushed towards the inside of the Xiao tribe. This knife was specially made by Shi Xiong for himself. The mountain knife he used before was still much smaller in terms of his size, so after experiencing that wild wolf encounter in the wild, Shi Xiong built this for himself. Take a giant mountain knife that is close to 2 meters in length. Well, the shape of this knife is similar to a famous weapon in a later famous online game. The name of that famous weapon is Slain Dragon. Of course, this knife does not have the weight of the 99 caddies in the game www.wuxiaspa.com, but this knife also weighs 50 caddies. It is swung with the power of a stone bear. Trees with thick bowl mouths can be easily cut in two. With this knife today, Shi Xiong will go deep into the distressed Xiao tribe to save his lover. Just as the stone bear rushed into the Xiao tribe on horseback, the death of the 7 tribal leaders and the chief of the Yuchi people on the mountainside was also discovered by these Yuchi people. Of course, the archers who first discovered that the situation was not right were those archers. These archers are all carefully selected divine archers from various tribes of the Yuchi tribe, each with extraordinary skill. But no matter how extraordinary their skill is, their leader died suddenly in less than 10 seconds. Especially the 8 big and amazing iron arrows that shot them to death, making these archers involuntary. He wailed for a while. Their voices are full of grief and fear. They didn't even find out who shot their own leader and chieftain to death. The archery shooter is really terrifying. The wailing of the archers drew the attention of some Yukai people at the foot of the mountain. When they discovered that their leader and chieftain had been shot and killed, they also panicked. Then, this panic spread quickly like a plague, and within a short period of time, the Yukai who was attacking the Xiao tribe began to become confused. Snakes can't do without a head. The same is true for this coalition. However, the tribe leader who led them and their chieftain all died violently. At this moment, these Yukai people were at a loss because they didn't know what to do. And at this moment, the stone bear who rushed into the Xiao tribe met his first batch of enemies here. Chapter 240, Ferocious. Shi Xiong is very familiar with Xiao tribe. After all, every time he comes here, after dinner in the evening, he will always go out for a walk with Baiyun, so he knew exactly how to find the place where the Baiyun family lived. However, not long after he entered the tribe, he encountered a small group of enemies composed of more than 20 Yuchis. These 20-odd Yuchi men are obviously elite warriors. Some of them hold bone spears, some hold bone knives and stone axes, and 4 hold bows and arrows. Those Yukai people with melee weapons firmly guarded the 4 long-range attackers with bows and arrows in the middle. In this way, this small group of enemies has formed a lineup that can be attacked and defended far away. This place is far from the main battlefield. After all, it has entered the north of the Xiao tribe. But this small group of enemies can safely arrive here, which is enough to show the strength of this small group of enemies. In front of these Yukai people, more than 20 men and women with weapons in their hands were resisting. Shi Xiong also saw 3 teenage children throwing stones at these guys. However, these people were obviously not the opponents of the Yuchi gang. Just as Shi Xiong saw these people, 2 people from the Xiao tribe had fallen in a pool of blood. The stone bear gripped the horse's belly very simply, and at the same time patted the horses fiercely with the back of the knife. The big horse under the crotch immediately made a long hiss, and rushed towards this small group of Yuchi with the fastest speed. At the same time, shouting loudly in his mouth, "Let the people of the Xiao tribe get away!" The tribesmen of the Xiao tribe who were fighting turned around and saw the stone bear. Of course, they knew this huge behemoth, so several tribes quickly dodged to the sides. I went back and dropped the 4 arrows that shot at me. This soft arrow seemed to be no threat in Shi Xiong's eyes, and then Shi Xiong rushed into the gap opened by the Xiao tribe's tribe. A battle formation composed of Yukai people. The Malaysian under the crotch seemed to realize that this was a life and death and it ran so hard that it penetrated this small battlefield in just one breath. As Malaysia broke out of the formation, 3 great heads fell on the ground. On the necks of the 3 lost heads, blood gushing upwards was 2 to 3 meters high. 2 other archers were knocked out by the fierce horse, and hit by the galloping horse, no worse than getting a siege hammer. However, Malaysia was also injured. There was a wound about 20 centimeters in length on its chest. It was not known whose bone knife cut it. Shi Xiong leaned over from the horse's back and glanced at the horse's injuries. After confirming that it was okay, he returned with the blood-stained dragon sword and launched a charge against those yokai again. A strong man who is more than 2 meters tall and weighs more than 120 kilograms held a steel knife about the size of a door panel in his hand, and he charged with a shout even more horribly than the roar of a brown bear. It can scare the faint-hearted into peeing on their pants. Not to mention that this big guy's just one charge killed 5 people. Sure enough, this tragic momentum directly scared the 3 yokai people away, but there were also yokai people who were not afraid of death. However, their blocking perfectly embodies a Chinese idiom that has been circulated for thousands of years: praying man's arm as a car. Shi Xiong just waved the dragon slaying in his hand fiercely, and then brought up a circle of black light. The next moment, 2 bone spears and 1 bone knife were cut into 2 pieces. 3 big heads crashed to the ground accompanied by blood rising from the sky. When a person singles out a group of people, the best trick when taking advantage of weapons, strength, and weapon length is this kind of trick similar to sweeping the army. Shi Xiong possesses incredible power, and the dragon-slaying knife in his hand is sharp and tough enough. Coupled with the length of this knife that is close to 2 meters, it is almost invincible when he wields it. 10 will be reduced in one effort. This is the truth. I don't care what you resist, I'm just tough. Your strength is better than Lao Tzu's big weapon than Lao Tzu's. Then Lao Tzu has no fuck say, but you are not as strong as Lao Tzu. The first knife killed the 3 Yuchiren, and Shi Xiong did not stay under his feet. As soon as he bent down, he got into Yuchiren's battlefield again. At the same time, while bending down, he swung the dragon-slaying treasure sword in his hand again. However, the height of the dragon-slaying sword was very low this time, so the next moment, with a series of clear chaps, a series of wailing sounds suddenly sounded. 6 calves and half of the knee fell on the ground, and there was also the 2 fell to the ground in unison, wailing loudly while holding the legs that had lost their 2 calves. In addition, Yuchiren, who is also wailing, has completely become the Captain Barbossa among the pirates of the Caribbean. Everyone has a calf missing. It's so cruel. In just one round trip, Shi Xiong sliced off the heads of 6 people, and 2 archers were hit by the horses to death. www.wuxiaspot.com. In addition, 6 people lost their calves. Yuchiren, who originally had an absolute advantage, was completely disrupted between the entry and exit of Shi Xiong, a humanoid explosive bear. Except for the few yokai people who were scared off at the beginning, the remaining 5 yokai people's faces were scared white. They were trembling all over, and they didn't know what they were talking about. Shi Xiong is not soft-hearted at this time. His heart is already filled with manic anger at this time, and no one can stop his desire to kill. Without hesitation, he swung the dragon-slaying knife again. With the incredible power of Shi Xiong, the 50-plus knives immediately transformed into lawnmower blades. The next moment, all the 5 terrified yokai people were cut off from the waist. The blood splattered Shi Xiong into a man, but he just touched his face with his hand and looked around with his big knife. Except for the few yokai people who were too scared to run away, the other yokai people who were 20 to 30 meters away were so scared that they turned around and fled. In their eyes, this big, blood-red man was like a murderess coming to the world. Not only those yokai people were frightened, but even the people of the 20-something Zio tribe were also trembling with fright. They had never seen such a brutal killing, nor had they seen such a brutal person. Just now he just swung 4 knives, and as a result, 6 Yuchi were beheaded, 5 Yuchi were chopped off, and 6 Yuchi became legless. This is too cruel. Shi Xiong did not pay attention to the scared eyes of these Zio tribesmen. He wiped his face again and completely turned himself into a big face, then turned his head and asked coldly, "Where is my white cloud?" Have you seen it? Chapter 241, Critical. The situation in the Xiao tribe is more serious than expected, and corpses can be seen everywhere along the way. Burned, lack of arms and legs, half of the head, shot into a sieve, male, female, old, few. The tragic situation is no more than trampled by a group of wild bulls. Where is the high tree pass that has passed? Master Guardian, our leader is leading some warriors to resist the enemy. The girl of Baiyun should be there too. Behind Shi Xiong, a sturdy woman who was running panting said. Shi Xiong's speed is too fast, she can hardly keep up. And along the way, she also thoroughly experienced the mighty and unforgeable force of this big man and the chilling killing intent. Almost none of the Yukai people encountered on the road can escape the big and surprisingly big knife in his hand, and he never has to kill a person a second time, either sweeping or slashing vertically, and go down with a single knife. No matter what the enemy is holding, all of his weapons will be cut in two, and they will also split the enemy in half. No wonder that girl Baiyun looks down on those stupid boys in the tribe. If they can have half of this big man, oh no, they can have 1/10 of his skills. The most beautiful girl in the tribe will not be cut by this. The big rocky man was abducted. Women thought about these things while running. Suddenly, the woman only felt an unstoppable force coming from her shoulders. The next moment, a tall figure enveloped her. Be careful, there are 4 Yuchi archers ahead. Find a place to hide yourself, and I will kill them. Accompanied by this sound, the woman saw the big man knock off a few arrows with the big knife in his hand, and then retracted. The big knife was erected in front of him, and he rushed forward quickly. The woman was agitated, looked at a corner of the house not far away, and crawled and hid behind her, sneaking out half of her face to watch the big man slaughter. Yuchiren's archers obviously didn't expect this big man to be so powerful. Before they could react to escape, the big man ran in front of them. The woman hiding behind the corner of the house only saw the light of the knife flash twice, and there were 8.5 more corpses on the ground. The women looked up to the hillside not far away. The group of Yukai people seemed to be flustered a lot, and they were not as orderly as before, and through the shouts of these Yukai people, the women seemed to hear that the leader of Yukai people and the chief had been shot. Killed. Could it be that this guardian did it? The woman's gaze fell on the surprisingly large bow and arrow behind the stone bear, which strengthened the guess. Well, it seems that the bow of Das Han, the first archer in the tribe, was made by Master Guardian, but Das Han's bow is much smaller than the bow on the back of Master Guardian. I'm afraid that only such a big bow can shoot the chiefs and leaders of the Yukai people at such a distance. The woman's mind was strayed. Shi Xiong looked back at the woman and shook his head slightly, without asking her to continue walking. There are more and more enemies ahead, and this woman can't protect her integrity if she follows. Shi Xiong didn't want any accident with this woman. He had just rescued her from Yuchiren's hands. Fortunately, he led the way, otherwise he would find Baiyun's house. But obviously, Baiyun is not in her home. Anyway, when I got here, I was not far from the front line. I should be able to find Baiyun by myself. Thinking about it, Shi Xiong waved his hand at the woman, meaning to let her go back, and then continued to run forward without looking back. The fighting sound in front of him became louder and louder, and Shi Xiong knew that he was close to the front line, so he quickened his pace, killed a few Yuchiren in succession, and turned 2 turns, only to see hundreds of people gathered in front of him to kill. With so many people gathered together, there were males and females. Shi Xiong couldn't tell which one was Baiyun and which was Thunder Eagle, but there was no doubt that these people in the Xiao tribe were about to be unable to resist it. Fortunately, those archers on the mountainside had stopped shooting. Those archers were in a panic, and Shi Xiong stood here to see clearly. Without these nasty long-range attackers, Shi Xiong was bolder. He was about to step forward to kill, but he heard a familiar voice. "Brother, is that you?" "I'm a little stone." There was a cry in his voice. Shi Xiong followed the sound and found that there was a burnt about 10 meters in front of him. Behind half of the corner of the room, Baiyun's younger brother Shi Xiong was sitting on the ground, covered in blood, and there were 2 people in his arms. Shi Xiong stunned inexplicably. He couldn't care about anything. and ran over in 3 or 2 steps. When he ran to the front, Shi Xiong's heart was cold. The 2 people in Shichui's arms were his father, Lei Ying, and who was the other who was not Bai Yun. Lei Ying was covered in blood, he had completely lost his breath, and the most deadly wound was on his neck. A large opening was made in his neck by the enemy's weapon, and the position of the opening happened to be in the carotid artery. This kind of injury is no longer saved, not to mention this era, even in the most modern hospitals in the future. The fault is that there may be a possibility of first-line cure on the operating table, as long as there is such a wound outside the operating room. It is equivalent to receiving death. Verdict. And Bai Yun seemed to have a breath. At least Shi Xiong could see her chest rising and falling slightly. There was blood on Bai Yun's body and face. Shi Xiong couldn't see the wound, so he immediately squatted down www.wuxiaspad.com and took Bai Yun from Shi Hammer's hands. Bai Yun was already in a coma. Looking at it closely, Shi Xiong found Bai Yun's wound all at once. Those were 2 broken arrows, one in her left ribs, and the other in her abdomen. Because the arrow shaft broke, Shi Xiong couldn't tell how deep the arrow went. Shi Xiong's brows immediately frowned, and he asked in a low voice, "Little stone, what is going on? How could your sister become like this? How could her girl's family appear in such a place?" Shichui was already going to be stupid. After all, he was only a 13-year-old child, and it was not easy for him to hold on to this situation. "Me, brother Xiong, Wow." The child finally didn't hold on, so he cried. At this moment, Shi Xiong couldn't be anxious and couldn't be annoyed, He was helpless, and felt that the white cloud in his arms moved slightly. "Bear, brother Xiong, go find my sister." The girl in her arms made a weak voice. Shi Xiong's mind was stunned, and then he realized that the girl in his arms was not Bai Yun, but Bai Yun's twin sister, Green Skylark. This made Shi Xiong really surprised and happy. "Skylark, take your time, where is your sister?" But the sentence just now seemed to exhaust Green Skylark's strength, and she passed out into a coma again. Little Stone wiped a tear and said, "My eldest sister was with Abba in the beginning, but then too many Yukai people scattered them, and then my second sister took me to find Abba, but Abba dead. The second sister was also seriously injured. I can only drag them here. I don't know where she is." The eldest sister. "Brother Xiong, go find my eldest sister." Chapter 242, Kill them all and I will take her home. In such a delayed gap, the woman who led the way just now also followed. "Master, Guardian, the leader is out of help. Leave it to little Skylark, you hurry up and find Bai Yun," the woman said cryingly. Lei Ying's death gave her a huge impact, and she couldn't think of it anyway. The brave, kind, and gentle leader went so far. Shi Xiong turned to look at the woman. The woman wiped her tears and nodded heavily. "Take a piece of the little stone away. You find a safe place where I can't take care of you." Without a word, the sturdy woman picked up the Green Skylark. Shi Hammer stood up, and gave Shi Xiong a wink with hopeful eyes, and then stopped the woman to the north and ran to the north. Shi Xiong stood up, stuck the big knife on the ground, and then took off the big bow that had been on his back with his backhand, and moved the quiver with 13 iron arrows left. It is convenient to draw an arrow at any time, and then pull out a big knife with his right hand and hold it in his hand and stride forward to the south. The big bow in Shi Xiong's hand can not only be used as a long-range weapon, but it is also quite powerful in close combat. After all, the bow body is made of a whole piece of steel plate, used to draw people. With the strength of the stone bear, people can be stunned at once. The road here is much more chaotic than when it came, and everything is chaotic, but Shi Xiong is not in the mood to care about other things. He has a bow and a knife, and shouted, "Bai Yun, where are you?" The stone bear is big, and the voice is loud. When this voice went out, it immediately attracted the attention of a large number of enemies. But when these eyes saw the whole body and a big man with a blood gourd with a big exaggerated knife and the same big exaggerated bow in his hand, these eyes shrank back one after another. Just kidding, this big and somewhat outrageous man looks like a murderer, and Yukai is not a fool. They may not understand the phrase persimmon picking up the softness, but they still understand this similar truth. Such a big man who knows that he is extremely nasty at first glance, no one will rush to provoke him stupidly. Especially when these Yukai men yelled a few more throats when they saw the big head. They suddenly thrust the outrageously big knife into the ground, then drew out a dark iron arrow on the bowstring, and then the big knife. The exaggerated bow was drawn into a full moon. The noisy battlefield seemed to be quiet while the big bow was drawn into the full moon, and then all the Yukai people who saw the big man draw the bow were horrified to find that the black iron arrow disappeared in an instant. The next moment, at a distance of more than 30 meters from the big man, the three Yuchi fighters were struck candied halls by the black arrow. Well, the Yukai people don't understand what candied halls are, but this does not prevent them from expressing enough shock at this terrifying act of shooting through three people with one arrow. The black iron arrow penetrated through the left eye of a Yuchi warrior, and then through the mouth of a second Yuchi warrior who was taller, and finally penetrated the back of the second Yuchi warrior's head, and plunged into the first Yuchi warrior, the necks of three Yuchi warriors. The most frightening thing is that because these three Yuchi warriors are relatively close, this iron arrow actually connected the three men together, and even if the three men lost their lives, they kept standing before they were alive. Location, and it's not down. With a boom, almost all the Yukai people were frightened and took a few steps back. This method of death is a bit too terrifying. And the most terrifying is the big man covered in blood. It takes so much strength to shoot such a mighty arrow. If this arrow is shot on myself. Almost all Yuchiren who saw this scene shivered involuntarily while retreating. Just after the stone bear came and pierced three people with an arrow, a strong man who had been fighting there limped and ran back, who is Han, who is not the first archer of the Zio tribe. It was precisely because Shi Xiong recognized the mountain that he opened his bow and rescued the mountain. Han naturally recognized the stone bear, with such a body shape and that unique long bow. Shan just didn't want to recognize it. Brother, Han, do you see Bai-yun? Seeing the mountain limping over, Shi Xiong asked directly without being polite. Han didn't answer immediately, but Shi Xiong could not tell from his shaking his head and the expression on his face. Shi Xiong thumped in his heart, grabbed Shan by the shoulders, and took a breath of pain. Brother, Han, what's the matter with Bai-yun? Shi Xiong did not let go. His eyes had begun to become the same color as the blood stains on his face. Great Bear. This. Oh. Han's lips trembled twice, and finally he didn't say anything, just sighed deeply. Where is Bai-yun? You take me there. Shi Xiong's voice trembles rarely, letting go of Shan's shoulders. Han didn't speak, and limped to one side with the stone bear, and several of the Yukai people who originally surrounded this place started to sneak away. Shi Xiong lifted the broadsword and followed behind the mountain. He didn't go far, and he saw a figure that was familiar and could no longer be familiar in front of a wooden house that had been burnt in half. Bai-yun also had a lot of blood stains on her body, but her face was not stained with blood like her sister Green Skylark. Her face only had a few blood stains and some dust. She lay there motionless, as if she was asleep. But why is she asleep? How can a sleeping person not breathe? Shi Xiong walked past tremblingly, as if he was afraid of awakening the sleeping girl. But no matter how slow he walked, he finally came to the girls. Crack! All the big bow and big knife in Shi Xiong's hand fell on the ground. He also squatted down, rubbing his hands vigorously on the clothes, and then gently stroking the girl's face. The girl's face is the same as before, as when I first saw her in the wild, beautiful and heart-stirring www.wuxiaspa.com, but at this time this face has no life, and cold. Shi Xiong's legs comparable to stone pillars seemed to lose strength, his knees hit the ground heavily, and his strong body began to tremble uncontrollably. It seemed that he wanted to pick up the girl in front of him, but he was afraid of disturbing her, so he tried several times, but he didn't even pick up this familiar body. Oh! The stone bear kneeling on the ground raised his head suddenly, and let out a roar that was even more miserable than the most miserable wolf howl. After being hoarse, he leaned down, kissed his cold lips lightly, and whispered hoarsely, "I'm sorry, my love, I'm sorry, I'm late, I'm late. Da-san turned his head uncomfortably, but when he turned his head again, he found that his face was covered with blood, but the whites of his eyes had begun to faintly reveal a black face. Protect my love for me. The icy voice was like Xuanbing that hasn't changed forever. Big. Shout, Guardian, what are you doing? Killing. Pay memorial service. When I kill them all, I will take her home again. P.S. Please don't spray. It's not that Lao Mo deliberately wanted to create such a bridge. It was the need of the entire book. Lao Mo hesitated for a long time for writing this paragraph, but finally decided to write it like this. In fact, the fighting between the real Indian tribes is much more tragic than this. People are as fragile as the dog's tail grass in tribal wars, whether you are the leader of the tribe or Baiyan. And this section is also a key point in the transformation of the protagonist, so everyone can look down. Chapter 243, Harpak. Happy National Day. Yuchiren, who had an absolute advantage, was panicked, confused, and afraid. Several different horns sounded in the rear, and these Yuchi warriors from different tribes immediately understood what these horns meant. That is the horn representing the rapid retreat and the horn of the tribal leader's death? When the horn sounded, almost all the Yukai fighters were stunned. If the horn of retreat immediately makes them unable to understand, then the horn of the tribal leader's death is simply a joke. How could the leader of the tribe be killed? They are all staying in the safest place behind, and beside them there are the most outstanding archers selected from various tribes, and the leader is killed. It is simply impossible. However, when these Yuchi warriors looked back at the southern hillside, they could only vaguely see a group of panicked archers and 7 lonely unridden war horses. What about the people on the war horse? That is the leader of the 7 tribes and the chief of the entire Yuchi tribe, the great Humazu. Why are they missing? All Yukai soldiers who saw this scene panicked. They are expeditionary forces. Compared with the little friction between the tribes of Yuchi that were strongly needed by the great chief Humazu this time can be said to have come out of their nests. In the words of the chief, this time we are going to take back the land that originally belonged to us. There is no doubt about the prestige of Chief Humazu. Even the tribe with deep contradictions will have to cooperate sincerely in front of the chief. An army of 2,000 people. This can be said to be the largest military operation of the Yuchi tribe in hundreds of years. However, this was the first tribe of Chikashis. Although this tribe had a lot of people, the situation of the battle was already overwhelmed under the circumstances of sneak attacks and the dominant force. The brothers only had to work hard for a long time. This tribe can be completely destroyed. The various materials accumulated in the tribe can make the expeditionary army make a fortune. All the fighters involved in the battle think so. They need the supplies accumulated by the Zio tribe. However, this is about to completely annihilate this tribe. Where is our leader? Where is our chief? Did they really die? After the Yukai warrior panicked, he began to mess up. And at this moment, a horrible howling of crying father and mother suddenly broke out in a certain corner. From the sound, it should be compatriot Yukai. But why did they make such a miserable howl? Did they encounter a powerful enemy? The dozen Yuchi fighters closest to the source of the sound suppressed the panic in their hearts, carrying their weapons and preparing to go and support their compatriots. As a result, just a few steps away, I saw a few of my compatriots as if they had seen an explosive bear that was awakened in winter, and they ran to this side while they were crawling, yelling, "Run, run, Harpak has come, Harpak has come." Harpak means devil and devil in Yukai language. But how can there be Harpak here? When the dozen Yuchi warriors were in a daze, they saw a blood-red man who was as strong as a bursting bear coming out from behind a burnt wooden house. But, is this really a human? How could a person have such a cruel and indifferent vision? How could a person have such a strong life-saving spirit? The most important thing is, how can a person wield such a big knife? At this time, Shi Xiong only felt that his heart was about to explode, and the grief seemed to be constantly piercing his heart with tens of thousands of needles. But how can this kind of pain compare to losing Xiaoyan Duo forever? Shi Xiong had only one thought in his mind right now, and that was to kill to kill all these damned Yukai people. Not only did he want to kill these Yukai people, he also had to kill the Yukai people in his territory and kill all the Yukai people. How dare someone be his own way? Ha, isn't this the damned Yukai man? Then die. The sturdy Yachi warrior standing in front of the stone bear is a famous warrior in the royal court of the Yachi clan. His name is Shane, which means that when he uses his full strength, a punch can knock the mountain down. Of course, this is an exaggerated description, but this warrior did not live up to this resounding clan name. His strength is so great that he can be called the most powerful warrior of the entire Yachi clan. Perhaps his martial arts are not as good as those senior fighters, but when he wielded the heavy bone spear in his hand, even the most powerful fighter of the tribal royal family did not dare to move forward. The dozen Yukai soldiers looked at the landslide with hope. They believed that the powerful landslide would be able to stop this Harpak. But I saw that Harpak didn't say anything, walked up to the landslide and raised the ridiculously big knife, and then slashed it directly without any fancy moves. Shane yelled abruptly, held the heavy bone spear that was 2 times thicker than the ordinary bone spear in both hands, lifted it up, and slammed against the big knife fiercely. All Yukai fighters who have seen the strength of a landslide have no doubt that even if the guy is really Harpak, he will be broken by the big knife in the hand of the landslide. Under the gaze of all the Yukai warriors looking forward to the big knife with only the blade flashing cold light touched the thick bone spear, and then all the Yukai warriors showed an unbelievable look. That bone spear, the thickest bone spear in the entire Yachi clan, looked like a piece of firewood in front of the sword. www.wuxiasp.com, or firewood that had been put outside for many years and had been rotten. The imaginary loud crashing sound did not appear. All the Yachi warriors only heard a boom and saw that the bone spear in Shane's hand was smashed in two. And then the cold light continued to descend, and the landslide was strong. From the top of his head to between his legs, his body was split in half. Then, these Yachi warriors saw that Harpak walked from the body that had been split in half and fell down on both sides. The blood on his body thickened again, and the tip of the low-hanging sword kept on. Blood dripped down. Harpak, this is really Harpak. Run! These Yachi soldiers made such a horrible howl almost in unison, just like the horrible howl they heard just now, and then the one who turned around and crawled began to escape. Shi Xiong followed these Yukai people with a broadsword behind him, and encountered many resistances along the way, but he didn't care who was blocking him, as long as it was Yuchiren, whether it was 1, 2, or several. As long as he dared to block the way, he would go down with a single blow, and cut it off with a weapon. This brutality frightened everyone who encountered the stone bear, and like the compatriots who screamed in front of them, they began to scream and fled back. Coupled with the constant urging of the horn, Yuchiren was completely messed up. Finally, when Shi Xiong walked to the southern edge of the tribe with a knife that was dripping blood by himself, there were more than 100 Yachi warriors who fled in front of him. These more than 100 Yachi fighters are usually considered elite fighters, but they don't want to be driven away by a man like a duck. However, none of them dared to turn around and resist. They have been completely scared by this Harpak. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Return to the Embrace of Mother Earth. The Great Sun is here. This great bear is really too powerful. How many Yuchiren did he kill? Counting the burst of killing just now, he seems to have killed 86. This is really terrifying. Not 86. But 89, I kept counting for him. What you said is not right. I just heard Das Han say that before he rescued us, he had killed 8 Yuchiren and cut off 6 Yuchiren's calves. And it seems that Yuchiren's retreat was directly related to him. Relationship. The 7 tribe leaders of the Yachi people and their chiefs were shot and killed. Das Han said that except for this strong bear who has this ability, no one else can do this at all. In other words, count the Yachi people, the chiefs and tribal chiefs, and the guardians from the Gaoshu tribe killed a total of 104 Yuchi people and injured 6. God, isn't he 100 people beheaded? Yes, it is 100 people cut, and it is a real 100 people cut. One person chased more than 100 Yuchi people, and those Yuchi people were scared. It's amazing. The Yukai people ran away in panic. They dropped more than 200 corpses in the Zio tribe, and half of these corpses were killed by the big man with a cold face. This was enough to make the surviving tribe of the Zio tribe amazed. Oh, this guardian is so pitiful. The girl Zhao Yunduo died on the battlefield, and his soul was also lost. A somewhat old voice rang, and the people who were talking about it suddenly became silent. They looked at the big man who was digging a hole not far away, and their faces showed unbearable expressions. It seemed that at a distance of more than 10 meters, they could all feel the deep sadness revealed by the big man. I heard Zhao Yunduo when she was alive. He said Master Guardian would hold a grand wedding for her on the day of Green Valley Festival. I don't know what the wedding is, but Zhao Yunduo said this. At that time, his face was full of happiness. I can see that Master Guardian really likes Zhao Yunduo. It's a pity. Alas. Yes, Zhao Yunduo died in the battle. It is said that we are going to hold a funeral for them. But Master Guardian did not let others do it. He dug this pit himself. SHHH. Stop talking, little Skylark's girl is here. With this voice, everyone turned their heads in unison, and saw the pale-faced Skylark slowly walking over with the support of her brother. Oh, it's so pitiful that little Skylark still has a little stone. The leader is gone, their mother is gone, and Zhao Yunduo is gone, leaving only these brothers and sisters. Green Skylark was lucky. Those 2 arrows did not kill her. Fortunately, the arrows used by the Indians of this era are mostly stone arrows or bone arrows, which are not powerful. So the arrow that hit her left rib got stuck in her ribs and didn't pierce and hurt her internal organs. And the arrow that hit her abdomen was also fortunate to avoid her internal organs, just shot her abdomen through. The surviving priest in the tribe took out 2 arrows for her and said with certainty that she would survive. Just because of excessive blood loss. She looks weak now. 3 days have passed since the Yuchi attacked the Zio tribe, and the number of people who died in this battle has been counted. In the Zio tribe with more than 1,500 people, there were more than 600 surviving tribesmen, and nearly 900 people died in this battle. More than 400 of them were burned alive. The Yuchi took advantage of sneak attacks and geographical advantages in this battle. Their rockets not only caused huge losses to the Zio tribe, but also caused the Zio tribe to panic at the beginning of the battle. They were unable to organize effective resistance. More than 800 Yuchi warriors rushed into the tribe and divided the tribesmen of Zio tribe who had spontaneously organized resistance to slaughter them. If it weren't for the stone bear to rush over, after the sun set that day, the entire Zio tribe would be wiped out by the Yuchi. The wealth accumulated by the Zio tribe for decades will be plundered by the Yukai people, and the surviving women of the small tribe will also be taken away by the Yukai people. The fighting between the Indian tribes of this era was so cruel, much worse than those described in later generations of movies about Indians. The 8 people that Shi Xiong shot at the beginning really played a decisive role in the turn of the battle. The leaders of the 7 Yuchi tribes and their chief Umezio were shot and killed by the stone bear one by one, which made the Yuchi completely panic. In addition, Shi Xiong began to be violent after seeing Bei Yun's death in battle, and the panic-stricken Yukai who killed one man was defeated, which eventually led to the defeat of Yukai. It is not an exaggeration to say that Shi Xiong alone defeated half of the entire Yuchi tribe's strength. Just how brilliant the record can be. He still hasn't kept his beloved woman. Why didn't you come earlier? Why didn't you come earlier? A cry interrupted the discussion of the audience, and everyone's eyes were focused on the 2 people at the center of the funeral. Like her sister Bei Yun, Green Skylark is the kind of tall girl, but she stood in front of the stone bear, like a deer facing a bursting bear. I'm sorry, little Skylark, I'm the one who came late. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Shi Xiong looked at the grief-stricken girl in front of him, slowly closing his eyes, his heart full of pain. If you can arrive a while earlier, A ba and a sister will not be killed by those Yukai people. You are so powerful. Why don't you arrive a while earlier? I hate you. I hate you. Green Skylark's face became paler. She clenched her fists and hammered the stone bear on the chest constantly. This made the stone bear with a chest injury frowned, but he immediately closed again. He closed his eyes, even though his chest had begun to ooze blood, but he remained motionless, letting the girl in front of him desperately vent. In that battle, Shi Xiong had 17 more wounds on his body. The two most serious wounds were one on his chest www.wuxiaspot.com and the other was on his back, especially the knife in the chest, which is a full foot long, traverses the entire chest, and the breastbone is almost exposed. It was cut by a Yukai man in the melee. Of course, that Yukai man had become two halves. That is to say, the physique of Shi Xiong is too strong, so he doesn't care about this kind of injury. Strictly speaking, the injury to the stone bear was much more serious than the injury to the green lark. Sister, elder sister, stop hitting. Brother Xiong's wound is bleeding. The little stone that became more calm took hold of his sister. Green Skylark raised her head to see Shi Xiong's chest. Her face became paler, she shook a bit, and fell softly. Shi Xiong's powerful arms grabbed Green Skylark's waist in time and didn't let her fall to the ground. Little stone, take your sister back. She needs to meditate and heal her wounds and can't let her do this anymore. Now I want Yunduo to return to Mother Earth's embrace, so don't bother me anymore. Stone Hammer was not seriously injured. He silently took the Green Skylark. Brother Xiong, I am not going. I want to watch my sister return to the embrace of the God of Earth. Shi Xiong glanced at the little stone, nodded slightly, turned and walked towards the pit that had been dug. Bai Yun's body was placed in a wooden coffin next to the grave. It was a wooden coffin made by Stone Bear himself in the past 2 days. She was wearing white cotton clothes and her long black hair was pulled up. She didn't seem to be dead, but it was more like asleep. Shi Xiong was trembling slightly unnoticeably, staring at this face that made him dreaming for a long time. In the end, he bit his back teeth fiercely, leaned over and kissed her forehead for the last time, and then fiercely covered the coffin lid with his bright red eyes. Chapter 245, Unravel. Why didn't you bring Bai Yun back? Although you two did not form a family, she is already yours. According to our Cherokee rules, you should bring her back. And Jiao Naiu stopped talking, thought about it for a moment, organized the language and continued. I mean, if you bring her back and bury her here, you can pray for her every day. Although Jiao Naiu had paid much attention to his words, he still clearly saw that the big man who was once stupid and then suddenly became the son of God was shaking slightly. Jiao Naiu sighed. He could understand the pain. When the Chikashes attacked the long-hair cattle tribe, he lost his wife and children, and he knew exactly what it was like. But he couldn't watch the Great Bear stay silent like this. No matter what the Great Bear became, whether it was the son of God, or the stupid head before, he was always his nephew, his only relative in this world. Watching his nephew become like this, Jiao Naiu felt sad. Whether it was the silly head of the past or the son of God after being directed by the Supreme Sun God, there will always be a happy smile on the face of the Great Bear. It is a smile that makes people feel happy from the bottom of their hearts. However, when he returned from the Zhao tribe, his face never showed the smile again. With a slight sigh, Shi Xiong suddenly spoke up when Jiao Naiu was about to give some comfort. Uncle, I can't bring her back. Her mother and father are both in the Zhao tribe. She was born and raised from the Zhao tribe. There are also her relatives and friends there. I don't think she is willing to leave Zhao tribe. So, I buried her there, but I will visit her often when I have time. Well, Stone, I feel at ease if you think so. You have to remember that the girl Bai Yun has returned to the embrace of the God of the Earth. We will remember her forever, and she will also watch us in the embrace of God. Staring at you, I don't think she wants to see you so decadent. So, Stone, you need to cheer up now. Those Yachi escaped. You need to find them and kill them, so that Bai Yun feel happy in the arms of God. Shi Xiong suddenly raised his head and stared at Jiao Naiu, his eyes shuddering. But Jiao Naiu laughed happily. That's right, He saw something different in Shi Xiong's eyes. It was hatred. Of course, this hatred is not aimed at Jiao Niu, but Jiao Niu knows who it is against. Now it seems that only this kind of unforgettable hatred can make this silly boy cheer up again. Sure enough, Jiao Niu saw his nephew slashing his face a few times, then closed his eyes for a while, and when he opened his eyes became different again. "Uncle, I'm fine, you don't have to worry about me, but I still need about a day to think about some things, and when I figure these things out, I will do something." "Okay," Jiao Niu said a word bluntly, and at the same time stretched out his hand heavily and patted Shi Xiong's solid shoulder. "Just do what you want, don't have any worries, and you have to remember, live. Jiao Niu, your uncle, will definitely be on your side." After all, Jiao Niu turned around and walked out of the wooden house where Shi Xiong lived. Seeing Jiao Niu walk out, Shi Xiong sighed slightly. The rounder Tep ran over and stood up while leaning on the stone bear's leg. "This little guy is so good at eating now, it's almost full of balls, but the little guy is very conscientious. It seems that he feels that his father is in a bad mood, so the little guy is very honest these days, and he doesn't cause trouble to his father at all. Only when there is no one, it will play with its father intimately for a while." Shi Xiong looked down at the little bear cub who stood up about the size of his knee, and a slight smile appeared on his face. He stretched out his hand to pick up the little guy, and held it in front of his face. "Riza, do you want to go with the old man to kill all those Yukai people?" Tep naturally didn't understand what his father was saying, but his father was able to play with himself, which made Tep very happy. It shook its head and stretched out its tongue to lick the old man. Only this kind of action can express the intimacy with the old man. "What, you shook your head and said you didn't want to go?" Shi Xiong pretended to hold his forehead against Tepu's head. "You little conscience, if it weren't for your mother, you would have died in Das Han's hands. It was your mother who made you father. May I ask you to come here? Now that your mother-in-law is gone, why don't you, the little conscientious person, go to avenge your mother-in-law?" The rest of the meal made Tep stunned. It was still small and couldn't tell whether the old man was faint or really angry. However, it could hear that the old man's tone was really a bit wrong, so he was talking with him. After the old man met his eyes for a long time, he shook his head again and screamed. Shi Xiong sighed, put the little guy on his lap, www.wuxiaspa.com, wrapped it with one hand, and said to himself, Smash, our father and son will depend on each other in the future. You hurry up and help the old man after he grows up, okay? It seems that this posture is a bit uncomfortable. Tep arched vigorously, and stood up while leaning on the belly of the stone bear. Then he arched his round head into the old man's arms, seeming to be looking for it. Milk to eat. Shi Xiong cursed with a smile, and then walked out the door holding the little guy. At this time, he needs to breathe a little bit to make his thinking clearer, so that he can use it to consider the next thing. After going out, Sheila leaned forward. Sheila is not like Tep, she likes to be outside. But these days she is the same as Tep, because the old man did not go out, she has been guarding the door of the old man. Good girl, great. Shi Xiong stroked the top of Sheila's head with a little effort, and Sheila hummed comfortably. After seeing Sheila in his arms, Tep began to struggle, trying to get out of her father's arms to find Sheila. Shi Xiong put down Tep, and Tep immediately rolled to Sheila and began to play with Sheila. Little Yunduoer, have you seen our children? They are all growing up. If you are still there, the children will love you more. As he said, Shi Xiong sighed sadly. Sheila and Tep both looked up at the old man, seeming to say, Don't be sad, old man. The expressions of the two children made Shi Xiong's mood a little better. He blew a whistle and said, Go, children, follow the old man, go out and relax. Sheila immediately followed, and Tep yelled out loudly. Shi Xiong smiled slightly, leaned over and picked up Tep, put it on his shoulder, carried it and walked up the mountain. Chapter 246, Tribal Decision-Making. A day later, Shi Xiong took Jiao Niu to the chamber of Gaoshu tribe. When entering the chamber, Han Yun, Li Lei, Bigfoot, Wolf's Tail, Momograss, Sheeptail, Gray Moose, Wood Planer, and the King Shan, the former leader of the Dikingshan tribe, were all waiting in the chamber. Because Shi Xiong did these things, now the senior level of the Gaoshu tribe has expanded a lot. Before the stone bears were integrated into the Gaoshu tribe, there were only a few people at the top of the Gaoshu tribe. Li Lei was the leader of the tribe, the first in name, and the red cloud was the sacrifice. In fact, the first one was the warrior Kui Wolftail and Li Lei's younger brother, the tribe's logistics steward. The four of them constitute the highest leadership organization of the Gaoshu tribe. But now, the tribe has not only taken over the Dikingshan tribe, but also carried out such work. So the corresponding persons in charge have also entered the highest decision-making body of the tribe. For example, Momocao is now responsible for making music and making wine and directly leads more than 20 women. In addition, the popularity of wine in the tribe is the highest. This has led to the rise of Momocao's popularity in the tribe. It is inevitable that ordinary women will be promoted to the top of the tribe. Lamb's Tail is responsible for farming, and he manages hundreds of women, young and old, as well as nearly 100 tame bison. The importance of food is self-evident. In the past, Hong Yun was responsible for this work. Now Hong Yun has handed it over to Lamblia. Coupled with the tame of bison and the use of new farm tools, Lamblia has the same status in the tribe. Rise. The veteran Grey Moose is now in charge of salt production and is the project manager of the salt production project department. The refined salt refined by the tribe is very popular on Waxaku, so refined salt is also indispensable for the tribe. In addition, Uncle Grey Moose was originally very prestigious, and now he is in charge of salt production, and he manages a large number of tribesmen under his hands, so it is a matter of course for him to enter the top of the tribe. Musha is the second son of Old Wood, and he is now in charge of steel making. The specific work ranges from coal mining to iron ore mining to iron smelting and steel making. Everyone in the tribe now understands the importance of steel. Without steel, the tribe cannot be so prosperous now. In particular, the emergence of new rifles has the most direct relationship with steel, so the importance of the Muxing family has also risen to a very high position. Originally the seat was supposed to be used by his father's wood planer, but Lao Mu was not interested in this aspect, and now Lao Mu and his eldest son are also very busy with the cross saw, so this seat is for the planer to sit. As for Dikingshan, the leader of the Dikingshan tribe, he is now the second elder of the tribe elders, and his status is second only to Hong Yun and Li Lei. Well, the first elder of the Gaoshu tribe Presbyterian Church is Jiao Naiu. Jiao Naiu is also the leader of the long-haired Naiu tribe. He is very good in terms of force and politics. In addition, he is Shi Xiong's uncle. So when the tribe decided to establish the presbytery, Jiao Naiu became the elder, the first elder of the meeting. Together with Shi Xiong and Jiao Naiu, a total of 11 people formed the highest decision-making body of the Gaoshu tribe. The identity of the stone bear is just the guardian of Kabru's sacrifice. According to normal principles, he has no right to become a high-ranking tribe, although this guardian has a high status and a high honor. After all, he has no real power in his hands. This seat is only used to protect the Kabul sacred rites, and has little to do with other aspects of the tribe. But the problem is that the Gaoshu tribe has undergone such a big change and development now, and its root lies in the stone bear, the guardian of the Kabru sacrifice. The most important thing is that through Hong Yun's mouth, all the people in the tribe now know that this guardian is sent by the Supreme Sun to protect the tribe. Because the guardian has experienced the Great Sun personally instructed him, he can be said to be an out-and-out child of the god. Everyone could see that Hong Yun obeyed the words of the guardian, no one was a fool, and naturally understood why Hong Yun would be like this. If it weren't for the Son of God, as the high priest of Kabru, how could he obey his guardian? The most important thing is that Master Guardian has done too many things in the past 6 months since he came to Gaoshu tribe, and it is really too powerful. No matter how stupid the people of the tribe are, they can clearly understand the great changes that Lord Guardian has brought to the tribe. Apart from other things, just 4 things, food, salt, new muskets and ironware, are enough to make the people worship the guardian. They had seen the crazy pursuit of the salt made by the Vasical with their own eyes. In front of the salt, Those Vasikas had to go to great lengths to get what the guardian wanted. In the past, those Vasikas were indifferent to the tribe, but now they are infatuated with the tribe. This kind of change can be seen in their eyes and in their hearts. As for the vibrant crops in the farmland around the tribe, this looks like an unprecedented harvest. Grain can fill all the granaries in the tribe, and the tribe people no longer need to worry about starving. The greatest strength of the Gaoshu tribe lies. If salt allows the tribe to live a good life, then the steel and muskets made by the guardian will give the tribe the most powerful guarantee for a good life. I'm reading www.ukenshu.com. In the past, an inferior iron knife could be regarded as a divine tool by the tribesmen. For an iron knife, the tribe had to pay a lot of fur in exchange for it. And now every household has a variety of iron weapons. Not only the soldiers have 1 to 2 steel weapons, but even women and children have steel weapons. In this case, even the royal court of the Cherokee is far from able to do it. There are also muskets, especially the new muskets, which are simply invincible artifacts. With the addition of more than 50 warriors from the Dikingshan tribe, the number of warriors in the Gaoshu tribe is now close to 200. Although not all of these 200 people have been equipped with new muskets, if you count the 100 old muskets seized from the French, all the soldiers in the tribe are already equipped with muskets. This kind of force, let alone the Cherokee tribe, even if it is all the native tribes of the entire American continent, this is definitely the only existence of scorpions. And all of this was done by Lord Guardian. If he doesn't enter the decision-making level, let alone Hong Yun disagrees, all the people in the tribe will absolutely disagree. Of course, Li Lei would not disagree. Even Wolftail, who had the most opinions on Shi Xiong before, now dare not or is unwilling to oppose Shi Xiong. Although Wolftail is vicious and vicious, it cannot be denied that he is absolutely loyal to the tribe. In the past, he had opinions on Shi Xiong, and targeted Shi Xiong everywhere, purely because he felt that his status was threatened and made an instinctive reaction. Now he has thoroughly understood the meaning of the guardian to the tribe, and Wolftail knows very well that he can never be the opponent of the guardian, and he is not even worthy to be the opponent of the guardian, because he himself does not have that ability. Chapter 247, Where does the home flower smell of wildflowers? We need to take over the Xiao tribe. Shi Xiong's first words stunned all the tribe seniors present. Although they all knew the tragedy of the Xiao tribe, and knew that the big man's most beloved woman died in the Xiao tribe, they never thought about taking the Xiao tribe over. But seeing Shi Xiong's firm eyes and expression, it seemed that the guardian had great determination to receive the Xiao tribe, which made everyone silent. However, with a coughing sound, the least noticeable Uncle Grey Moose said, "Guardian, don't you know how difficult we will face if we want to take over the Xiao tribe?" The Grey Moose is very prestigious in the tribe. Of course, his loyalty to the tribe is beyond doubt. First of all, the people of the Xiao tribe are all Chikashas, even if they are a secluded tribe. This fact cannot be concealed. We promised to trade with them before. This is the greatest tolerance our tribe can do. If all the remaining members of the Xiao tribe accept it, what will the tribe members think? Will they agree to live with the Chikasha? Everyone nodded silently to the Grey Moose's words. It is true that the Grey Moose hates the Chikasha, but it is undeniable that these words he said are really reasonable. The Xiao tribe is not the Kingshan tribe anymore. It is a tribe composed of the mortal enemy Chikasha. Everyone looked at Shi Xiong, but Shi Xiong had no expression on his face. He just looked at the Grey Moose and said, "Uncle Grey Moose, you continue." The Grey Moose nodded, and then continued, "I said the first point just now, and now I will say the second point. The second point is that after the disaster in the Xiao tribe, the remaining soldiers in their tribe are no longer sufficient. 100 people, most of them are women and children. There are more than 400 people. Can our tribe have the ability to receive them?" After a pause, the Grey Moose continued, "The third point is that the Xiao tribe is too far away from us. Even if we send out all the armed inland river transport ships, it will take at least 5 days for a round trip. The people from the Xiao tribe are all pulled over, and our boat has to make at least 2 trips. For a tribe that has nothing to do with us, is it worth it?" Then, the Grey Moose looked straight at the stone bear and said, Guardian, I am not targeting you personally, but I must say that although your lover is from the Xiao tribe, you cannot drag us down because of your lover. Gaoshu tribe, let the surviving Xiao tribe join our tribe. We might as well take back the tribes that were separated from our tribe. After all, those tribes and us are the real family, and they can't even eat it now. Full. What this said is not just serious, it is even a little bit cruel. But Shi Xiong still sat there blankly, as if he didn't even listen to the words of the gray moose. Seeing this, the gray moose shook his head slightly, sighed and said, "That's my reason." Everyone once again focused their attention on Shi Xiong. No one can match the prestige of the Guardians now, and they all know this. And they all know that the Guardian usually does not speak, but once he opens his mouth, he must eventually implement his will, and those who opposed him were eventually proved to be wrong. What about now? To be honest, even Hong Yun didn't quite agree with this request made by his Guardian. Sure enough, Shi Xiong did not disappoint them, and he quickly gave his reasons. I would like to express my gratitude to Uncle Grey Moose for his objection, which shows that Uncle Grey Moose is indeed thinking about our tribe. However, regarding what Uncle Grey Moose said just now, let me also talk about my thoughts. Let me talk about the importance of the Xiao tribe first. You all know why we used to trade with the Xiao tribe, right? Everyone nodded. Yes, the transaction with the Xiao tribe is not because my love is there, but because the Xiao tribe owns a saltpeter mine. And you should also know the importance of the saltpeter mine? Everyone nodded again. If we lose this saltpeter mine, then our muskets and artillery will become a pile of scrap iron, and we will not have the raw materials to make that powerful grenade. So, no matter which angle you consider, we can't let go of the saltpeter mine. This is the most important reason I propose to take over the Xiao tribe. We need to control the saltpeter mine in our own hands. No one can refute this. Secondly, for the women and children who returned from the Xiao tribe with me this time, you have also seen the attitudes of the tribesmen towards them. These women are all women who lost their husbands and family members in that war. They themselves are very pitiful and lost. It is difficult for them to continue living in the Xiao tribe after they have lost their men and their families. After they came to our tribe, you should have seen the attitudes of the tribesmen towards them. www.wuxiaspa.com. Our tribes, especially those strong men, are very welcome to these women. Don't forget, we are only accepting the Dakingshan tribe now. When we take over from other tribes in the future, these guys all need women. Don't you think about it? Have you passed this point? And these women who survived the Xiao tribe can just meet their needs. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was silent again. When Shi Xiong returned from the Xiao tribe, he was surrounded by more than 50 women from the Xiao tribe. Among them, there were more than 20 women with young children. The other 30 women were all dead in their families. They can no longer survive in the Xiao tribe, and they have also heard of the wealth of the Gaoshu tribe, so they followed the stone bear without saying a word. No matter what the stone bear says, they will follow the Gaoshu tribe. The desire to survive. Hope can't be blocked by a mere 200 miles of mountain roads. In desperation, Shi Xiong could only take them to the Gaoshu tribe, for which reason his return journey was extended to a full 5 days. What I didn't expect was that after these women came to the Xiao tribe, they were immediately welcomed by the men in the tribe. There was no monogamy among North American Indians at this time. As long as you can afford it, it doesn't matter how many women a man has or how many men a woman has. Now the men of the Gaoshu tribe have plenty of money in their pockets, and the crops in the ground are about to be harvested. Feeding a woman will not be a problem for them at all. The most important thing is that these women are all Chickasaw women, which is enough to arouse the desire of many Cherokee men to conquer. Not to mention, where does the home flower smell of wild flowers? Chapter 248, We Need Strategic Space. Although Shi Xiong's words silenced the high-level tribes, some men in the high levels showed a very tacit smile on their faces, and a few women sipped lightly. But no one refuted Stone Bear's words. Even the Grey Moose. Old Master Confucius of China once said a very classic sentence: eating men and women, people want to be big. The meaning of this statement is very simple. but it refers to the essence. Diet and love between men and women are the greatest desires. As long as it is a normal person, apart from eating, drinking and sleeping, the instinct to reproduce offspring is imprinted on genes. No one, especially a man, can suppress this instinct. At this time, the North American Indian tribes were still in a semi-primitive era. In addition to survival, reproduction was their greatest instinct and duty. Population is the most important resource among Indian tribes, and the size of the population directly determines the status of the tribe. Therefore, in this era, Indians are still very keen on reproducing offspring. Polygamy is a very common situation at this time, which just proves this. In wars between Indian tribes, women have always been very important, because only when more and more women are obtained, will the population of their tribes increase and their strength will become stronger and stronger. Just like the Yuchi attacking the Zio tribe, they actually didn't want to kill everyone in the Zio tribe. They also wanted to capture a large number of women, but their thoughts were completely confused by the stone bear. If a large number of women can be obtained without using war, this will be excellent for the Gaoshu tribe no matter what aspect it considers. Therefore, no one can refute Shi Xiong's words. Seeing that everyone had acquiesced to this second point, Shi Xiong held out his third finger again blankly. He stood up and walked to a wall of the chamber. On this wall was a huge map, which was drawn by the tribe from the wall of the wooden house where Hong Yun lived. When discussing taking back the Dikingshan tribe in the wooden house where Hong Yun lived last time, Shi Xiong once drew a map of America on the wall of the wooden house where Hong Yun lived. This map shocked Hong Yun and Lai. Yes, so under the order of Hong Yun, the tribesmen who were proficient in painting redrew a larger map than that, and finally hung it on the east wall of the chamber. However, Shi Xiong didn't move the map, but picked up the charcoal block and started drawing from one side of the map. His paintings are very simple, only a few strokes of the surroundings of the Cherokee tribe. These thick diagonal lines are the general direction of the Appalachian Mountains where we live now. This is Monongahela, the royal court of our Cherokee tribe, and this is the location of our High Tree tribe. This thin, crooked line is a big bend. As Shi Xiong drew this simple map, a group of high-level people gathered. This is the range that our Cherokee can control. To the east of us is the colony of Vasiku. Well, this is the territory currently controlled by the Pointons. Lei touched his chin and said, "It seems that the territory controlled by our Cherokee tribe is not very big." Bigfoot, Jeoniu, Dikingshan, Wolf Tail, they all nodded. This is the first time they have seen the general range that the Cherokee can control, and they have no doubt about the range drawn by the Guardian. The Guardian has been mentored by the Sun God, and he naturally knows the sphere of influence of each tribe best. Sure enough, Stone Bear started to expand the map outward based on the range controlled by the Cherokee tribe. The little bit I drew is the Big Swamp area, and to the west of the Big Swamp, there are the Chicashes. This is the Blue Mist in the south, and the Yuchi territory to the south, the Yuchis, Chicashes, and Powhatans. It's a tribe that has direct contact with us. Besides, as Shi Xiong said, he used charcoal to draw a thick line to the west. This thick line represents the largest river on this land, the Big River. Our Big Bend to the north will merge into the Big River here, and the entry point is the Fortress Akron where the French are located. We extorted the food, cotton and other materials from that fortress. All the high-level officials laughed when they heard this. People like Jeoniu and Bigfoot all followed in person. Naturally, they knew best how exciting the trip to Akron Fortress was. However, Shi Xiong still did not smile. He continued to paint on the wooden wall, and explained while painting, on the west bank of the Big River, there are Arkansas and Missourians. Now because of the reward order issued by the French, Arkansas and Missourians together they are fighting with the Chicashes. The Yuchi took advantage of the opportunity of the Chicashes to stealthily cross the blue fog. They not only attacked the Appalut tribe of our Cherokee tribe, but also attacked Zio tribe. But when they attacked Zio tribe, I shot their chief and 7 tribal leaders, and finally let the Yuchi defeat. The fact that the guardian of the Kabul high priest of the Gaoshu tribe shot and killed the Yuchi chief and 7 tribal leaders in that war has now spread in the Gaoshu tribe, Even the surrounding tribes already knew about it. Although the Yuchi attack on the Zio tribe has nothing to do with the Cherokee, but the Yuchi chief was shot and killed by his own warriors, which is a great contribution no matter where it is placed. Lile and the others already knew about it. You should be able to see from this picture that the current situation is actually very delicate. The tribes to the west of us are now fighting and fighting. On the surface, this seems to have nothing to do with our Cherokee tribe, but in fact it has nothing to do with us, but it has a great relationship. Those things I said before, you must remember the sacrifices and the leader of Lili. Our greatest enemy is not the tribes in the west. On the contrary, they have the same skin color as us. www.wuxiaspa.com. It's our compatriots. Our greatest enemy comes from the east, that is, those Vasiku. Hong Yun and Lile nodded silently when they heard this. The words the Guardian said at Hong Yun's house last time really frightened them. If what the Guardian said is true, there will be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands or even millions of indigenous people in the future, will be killed by those Vasiku like a turkey. This is something they absolutely cannot tolerate. I won't say any more. I'll just talk about how we should do it now. After a few decades, Vasiku living in the east will inevitably move westward, and once they move westward, the first one will be the same. Our Cherokee contact will inevitably have an irreconcilable conflict with us. This is our territory. If they want to move west, they will inevitably encroach on our territory and drive us away. We will never allow this. It happened. But the Vasikas have a lot of guns and artillery. We are not opponents for the time being. So we must plan ahead and expand our strategic depth in advance, so that when we in Vasiku turn our faces, there is more room for detours. On the front, we may not be able to fight against those Vasikas, but we can use enough roundabout space to fight with them. We are the masters of this land, and we are far more familiar with this land than those Vasikas. As long as we can hold on for a period of time, then the final victory must belong to us. So, we need strategic space, and the Zio tribe, 200 miles away from us, is our first step in expanding our strategic space. Therefore, this step must be a solid step forward. P.S. I went out temporarily last night and didn't bring anything. The update is a bit late today. Please forgive me. Chapter 249, Split. Seeing the gray moose and Lile and their reluctant expressions, Shi Xiong felt a little helpless and tired. I have to say that these guys are really short-sighted. It is not a good thing to be hit by a Cadillac at the foot of the Great Smoky Mountain 250 years ago. But it is undeniable that this era is the best era in the last 300 years. The North American Indians, who were originally in a closed and primitive state, began to come into contact with European colonists. They learned a lot from the Europeans, and they also learned a lot. But again, with Europeans entering the New World in large numbers, this continent is slowly falling. Once the War of Independence is over and the United States is established, this land full of wildness and beauty will be completely reddened by the blood of the Aborigines. Before that, the Gaoshu tribe had about 30 to 40 years of development time. If you don't make good use of this period of time to develop and strengthen yourself, then when the Americans begin to move westward, the first people to die under the butcher's knife are the Aborigines closest to the Americans, including the Cherokee. I have already said so clearly, but why these guys just can't figure it out? Seeing that Shi Xiong's face became more and more ugly, everyone including Hong Yun was silent again. They admit that what the Guardian said is indeed very reasonable, but the closed mindset that has been cultivated over the years has made it difficult for them to make leapfrog development. Not only the Cherokee, but the Aboriginal tribes on the entire North American New World are almost like this. It is precisely for this reason that they will eventually be almost extinct by the Americans like killing dogs. Shi Xiong looked at these silent people, shook his head speechlessly, walked to his seat and sat down, then looked straight at Hong Yun and said, "Sacrifice. You should know what I am like. People." These words made Hong Yun suddenly feel a bad feeling. She looked at her guardian and said eagerly, "Dragon Bear, I." Shi Xiong waved his hand expressionlessly. "I was very grateful that the Gaoshu tribe was able to accept us at the time. Therefore, I have always regarded the development and growth of our Gaoshu tribe as my first goal. To this end, I made steel, I made new farm tools, I made muskets, salt, spirits, oil. And I will make more things in the future, I can guarantee that. The tone of Shi Xiong's speech caused a bad feeling in the hearts of all the seniors. But Shi Xiong did not give them a chance to speak, but continued, "The reason why I worked so hard to make these things is to prepare for the future. I don't want to see my people being killed by those Vasikas. I don't want the land that originally belonged to us to be occupied by those Vasikas. In order to do this, I have been admonishing myself that there is not much time left for us. I need to work hard to grow my tribe." "That's all right. But you," Shi Xiong's gaze swept around, and everyone who was seen by his gaze lowered their heads involuntarily. "It really disappoints me. Honorable Kabru Sacrifice, Chief Lili, Uncle Bigfoot, you should understand one thing. If I leave the Gaoshu tribe to develop in another tribe, do you think I can develop that tribe in a short time, or say?" Stone Xiong hesitated for a moment, but decided to give them some strong medicine. "If I go to the Zhou tribe now, I am 100% sure that I will become the leader of the Zhou tribe, and I will become a powerful tribe leader, and then I will copy everything of the Gaoshu tribe, and I will build the Zhou tribe into a tribe that will never tire and expand outward, and I have the confidence to lead the remaining tribes of the Zhou tribe to lay a huge territory within a year, even if you kill the Chikasha and Yuchi. Don't doubt what I'm saying, because I know I have the ability to do this. And I'm 100% sure that it will be a very easy process, because there is no one behind me pulling my hind legs. Behind me there are only people who fully support me." After a pause, Shi Xiong looked at the stunned crowd, and revealed the first smile after entering the chamber today. "Trust me, I have always been a person who does what I say. If you pull me back like this, if you do, I will leave the Gaoshu tribe, I promise." After speaking, Shi Xiong stood up, without even looking at Hong Yun and the others. He walked straight out of the chamber's door. After Stone Bear walked away, the entire chamber of the chamber was plunged into a strange silence. After a while, the Grey Moose said, "Master Guardian is scaring us. How could he leave our tribe?" "I think he is," Jiao Naiu uttered, and when he uttered it, everyone was shocked. "Shut up," Jiao Naiu yelled directly at the Grey Moose. And then he stood up, pointing at everyone, and said, "I really can't stand it anymore." Just as the Guardian said, "You disappointed him too much, including me, also disappointed him, isn't it? We can't forget who made our tribe own a lot of iron, and who made our tribe's land the middle is full of grain, who made us have that fine salt, the salt that even Vasiku desperately wanted, who brought us dozens of war horses and a lot of grain and cotton cloth, who made us. You can also brew delicious spirits by yourself. Who made our tribe more than 4 powerful warships. www.wuxiaspot.com. Who made our tribe possess a large number of muskets like the Vasikas. Who is it? At the most critical moment, the coalition forces that killed the Chikashas and Vasichas with those tamed bison saved our tribe. Who is it that made our tribe undergo earth-shaking changes in just over half a year? All of this was done by Master Guardian. We only exerted a little bit of strength in it. Did you really forget, Grey Moose? I respect you as a veteran warrior of the tribe, but you see, look what you said today. The Guardians have explained so clearly. Why do you still have the expression of opposition? Did you forget that it was the Guardians who made you the leader of salt production? Did you forget? The weapons you use are all made by the Guardian. Did you forget that the Guardian made you live such a comfortable life now? My people, you all know that the reason why our tribe has been able to have such an earth-shaking change is the Guardian who led us to make it. And what have we done today? What we have done today is for the Guardian Kailuoyuo's betrayal. Also, I didn't say these words because I was the uncle of the Great Bear. I said these were all from my heart. My people, we can't go on like this anymore. By doing so, I'm talking about guarding. On the hind legs of the Guardian will really leave us. Of course, if the Guardian really wants to leave here, I will follow him without hesitation, because I want to accompany him to the top. Of course, I even hope that our tribe can reach the peak under his leadership. My tribe, think about it carefully. After finishing speaking, Jiao Naiu turned around and walked out of the chamber without looking back. The rest of the people looked at each other. Is this the rhythm of splitting? Chapter 250. Tribal leader. The words that Shi Xiong threw down didn't really want to leave the tribe. He just beat them out of disappointment with these people. Of course, use this to express the hostility accumulated in his heart for more than 10 days. Of course. As for really leaving the tribe, at least it is absolutely impossible from the current point of view. He managed to build a certain foundation for the Gaoshu tribe, and the geographical conditions here are also very good. How could Stone Bear leave this place and start anew? But it is still very necessary to frighten them and beat them at critical moments, otherwise, these guys will go to heaven. It's just that after Shi Xiong went crazy, he didn't expect his uncle to also go crazy. Jiao Naiu's positioning the Gaoshu tribe is far inferior to Shi Xiong. Even if he is now a member of the elders, Jiao Naiu cannot be compared with Shi Xiong in any respect. Don't even call it a stone bear. Even the King Shan can't match it. After all, the long-hair cattle tribe has been destroyed, and unlike the King-Shan tribe, it was integrated into the Gaoshu tribe as a whole. The status and voice of the former tribal leader of the King-Shan is naturally higher than that of Jiao Naiu. However, Jiao Naiu's sudden madness this time left everyone including Hong Yun silent. It is precisely because there is nothing to lose that Jiao Naiu has no scruples. He could not see his nephew being so wronged. Since Dakshin came to the Gaoshu tribe, all the things he had done were seen by Jiao Naiu, and sometimes he secretly blamed the injustices of the gods all over the sky. If the Great Bear was not so stupid before, and had accepted the guidance of the Sun God before, then the Shaggy Cattle tribe would definitely develop better than the current Gaoshu tribe. Even, maybe the Kabul priest will settle down in the Long-Hair Cattle tribe. My nephew led the development of this High Tree tribe to the current stage. Everything is so beautiful. As a result, some people in the tribe still have something to do with the Great Bear. Not only this discussion, it seems that when the King-Shan tribe's return was discussed last time, my nephew was also hindered. Jiao Naiu couldn't figure it out. His nephew didn't really want to seize power from the class. He just wanted to make the tribe develop faster and better. But why did these people keep on guard? Especially for the Cabra sacrifice of Hong Yun, can't you stand up and support your guardian? Therefore, Jiao Naiu, who could not be used to it, went wild this time. Of course, what he said also made it impossible for everyone to refute it. In particular, Jiao Naiu showed his barefooted impossibility of not being afraid of wearing shoes, and it was even more speechless to choke everyone. A group of people watched Jiao Naiu's figure disappear outside the door, one by one again dumbfounded. Especially the Grey Moose, he said after staying for a long time. I didn't mean that. I don't want Master Guard to leave us. Bigfoot sighed slightly, but didn't say anything, but his sigh showed his dissatisfaction. Mo Macau and Dromweiwa showed contempt on their faces. As the newly promoted tribal leaders, they had no right to speak, but this did not mean that they were willing to see a Lord Guardian being oppressed. Hong Yun stood up with a serious expression, and said with certainty, "This is something we did not do right. We have let the Guardian down. I will personally apologize to the Guardian in a while." "No. You can't do this. You are the Cabra sacrifice. Your identity does not allow you to do it like this," Li Lei retorted immediately. Hong Yun shook his head slightly and looked at his uncle with disappointment, but said something else. "Lei, this is the decision of this matter. No one can oppose the decision I made. We can't. Losing the Guardian, this is the bottom line for me and the entire tribe." Li Lei's face suddenly became pale when he heard Hong Yun calling him that. He gave Wolftail a wink. Wolftail nodded and then opened his mouth and said, "Cabra sacrifices to the priest. You should consider leader Li Lei's proposal, your identity. But she didn't want Hong Yun to wave her hand unceremoniously and interrupt the wolf's tail. She looked at the wolf's tail and said harshly, "Wolf's tail, shut up. If you dare to say something, I promise I will deprive you of it." Cuckoo's position. As soon as this sentence was uttered, everyone's expressions changed. Of course, some people are panicked, while others are smiling. Although Hong Yun was young, and although she had only been a priest of Kabru for half a year, at this moment, the kind of authority revealed in her was something no one dared to challenge. This is the Gaoshu tribe, and the previous name of this tribe was Kabru High Priest tribe. From this name, you can know the position of Kabru sacrifice in this tribe and more than 10 small tribes around it. At this time Hong Yun had realized that what he had done before was a little too inadequate, and he had not established the authority of Kabru High Priest. However, it is not too late to realize this problem. Today, we can use this incident to completely establish the authority that should belong to me. After all, Hong Yun knows very well that as the High Priest of Kabru www.wuxiaspa.com in some respects, he cannot consider family affection. As long as he becomes the High Priest of Kabru, then he will bear the entire Gaoshu tribe on his shoulders. Even the rise and fall of more than 2,000 people and more than a dozen small tribes around. In the face of such an important responsibility, everything else can be ignored, including family affection. This time, Shi Xiong and Jiao Niu's sudden madness made Hong Yun fully realize that he had indeed failed in certain things before, and he did not wholeheartedly support the Son of God. This in itself was an unforgivable mistake. It was also his own attitude that made Li Lei, Wolftail and other people have other thoughts. So, now is the time to change this error. Hong Yun quickly made a decision in his heart. Now, I decide as the High Priest of the Cherokee Kabru. As soon as these words were uttered, everyone stood up, bowed their heads and stroked their chests with both hands. At this time, no one can refrain from making such an act of surrender, because at this moment Hong Yun is no longer Li Lei's nephew, nor a 20-year-old young woman, nor the mother of 2 children. Her only identity is the highest decision-maker of the tribe, the Kabru High Priest. Li Lei stepped down as the leader of the High Priest tribe of Kabru and entered the elders as the tribal elder. Wolftail stepped down from the position of warrior Kui and demoted to deputy Kui. The Grey Moose can continue to be responsible for salt production people, but forfeit all the rewards this year. The 3 people named by Hong Yun were extremely pale, but they could only bow their heads and say yes. The Bigfoot is now appointed as the leader of the Kabru High Priest tribe, while Jiao Niu serves as the elder of the Presbyterian Church. He also serves as the warrior Kui of the Kabru High Priest tribe. The above decision is effective immediately. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.